This is Retro Sports Radio. Visit RetroSeasons.com for more sports history.
On October 4th, 1977, the Philadelphia Phillies faced the Los Angeles Dodgers at Dodger Stadium for Game 1 of the 1977 NLCS. Philadelphia had won 101 games for the second consecutive season under manager Danny Ozark, and they were returning back to the NLCS after being swept by the Reds in 1976. Los Angeles was managed by Tommy Lasorda in his first full season with the Dodgers, after taking over from Walt Alston at the end of the 1976 season. The Dodgers had a great team throughout the 1970s, but finished in second place in the NL West in 6 of the past 7 seasons. This audio recording is from the CBS Radio broadcast, featuring announcers Ralph Kiner and Jerry Coleman.
So Bake McBride stepping up into the batter's box. Bake in the leadoff position hit .316 for the year. He had 15 home runs, 61 runs batted in. Has great speed, a left-hand batter. In the first pitch, breaking ball that's high and inside for ball 1. So the game underway. Tommy John in the regular season had 11 complete games, pitched 3 shutouts. And at 1-0, the pitch back to McBride, lobbed over the first baseman's head, a base hit into right field. Moving over to field at Reggie Smith, he bobbles the ball. McBride started to go to second base, put on the brakes when Smith, who has a great arm, fired it into second base. So McBride has singled to right field as the game gets underway, and the batter coming up will be Larry Bohr.
The throw by Smith, Ralph, was something we couldn't see last year. He had an operation in the offseason, and it certainly has made a difference.
One of the great arms in baseball, one of the outstanding talents in the game today. Reggie Smith started his career with the Boston Red Sox, came to the Dodgers from the St. Louis Cardinals. And Tommy John from the set position. Here's the pitch. It is bunted on and fouled down in the dirt. Boy hit .280 in the regular season with 4 home runs and 41 runs batted in. Phillies led the National League in team batting with a team batting average of .279. They had 186 home runs. They had 135 stolen bases, had 68 men thrown out. Now John ready again. Here's the pitch. And a fastball grounded to short. Ball fielded by Bill Russell. In time on to first base, a double play. Russell to Davey Lope. On to Garvey. And the Dodgers say it went from Frick to Crack. And on to Popeye, the nicknames of the infielders. At third base, the Penguin. So the base hit is erased, and that'll bring up Mike Smith. Dodgers led the National League in double plays this year. Tough to double up Larry Bohr. He has that good speed. Last 3 years, Mike Smith led the National League in home runs. This year he was beaten. George Foster had 52. Mike had 38. His teammate Greg Luzinski had 39. And Schmidt takes the first pitch low. It's ball 1. Schmidt hit at .274 this year with 101 RBIs.
Something you might be interested in, Ralph. Mike Schmidt had 14 home runs in June to tie your record set back in 1947.
I was sweating that one out, Jerry. 14 home runs in the month of June. Mike Schmidt had an injury in a fight that really delayed some of his progress this year. And a ground ball hit to the shortstop. Russell hits deep at short. Russell backs up, throws wide to first base, and Smith is safe. Garvey arguing that he came off the bag and made the tag. But first base umpire Bob Engel disagreeing with Garvey. That'll be an error charged to Bill Russell, the shortstop, and the Phillies have a runaround with Greg Luzinski coming up.
When you've got speed like Mike Schmidt and you start backing up on the ball, and that's what Russell did, you've got a big problem on your hand, and that cost him the play.
Had to hurry the throw, and the throw was wild. Schmidt is a threat as a base runner. He's had 15 stolen bases. But the big bull, Greg Luzinski, the batter, and the first pitch to Luzinski, it's chopped foul down the third base side. Luzinski, strong candidate for the most valuable player in the National League. Batted .309 with 39 home runs, 130 runs batted in.
We're seeing a pattern here of what Tommy John does best, Ralph Kiner, is getting that ball on the ground. And if those big sluggers keep trying to pull that little fadeaway fastball and changeup, they're going to be in for trouble this afternoon.
Reminds me a little bit of Eddie Lopat. One strike count to Greg Luzinski. And Tommy John with his next pitch, a breaking ball low and inside. Luzinski with a hard swing over the top of it. So now Tommy John reading the sign from his catcher, Yeager, and the pitch back to the plate is a fastball. A throw to first base in the dirt is taken by Garvey. And an error is saved. Garvey holds the record for fewest errors in the National League in a single season with 3. He is a fine fielding first baseman. Players call him Popeye for his muscles, but he can handle that glove. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Tommy John, a triple look at first base. Schmidt running. The ball is hit in the air to center field. Deep center field. Going back is Glenn Burke. It's going. It is gone. Goodbye. Craig Luzinski with a home run, and the Phillies lead by a score of 2-0. When you open up the gates to the Philadelphia Phillies with a Luzinski up there, that third out on the misplay by Bill Russell, the Dodgers shortstop, turned into 2 runs for Philadelphia. That could be critical before the afternoon is over. 2 runs are unearned. In the course of the regular season, Tommy John gave up only 12 home runs. Luzinski had a total of 39. So the Phillies leading by a score of 2-0, and Dave Johnson coming up. Johnson batted .320 for the year. He's playing first base tonight. Right-hand batter. And the first pitch is outside a ball. Dave Johnson holds the record for most home runs by a second baseman, 43. Doing that with the Atlanta Braves. He played in Japan for a couple of years and then came back to the States, and the Phillies picked him up and signed him as a free agent. That home run given up by Tommy John, the first for the Phillies this year. And the left-hander back, and he is outside and low. 2 balls and 1 strike. And now Tommy back and missing again at 3-1. In the course of the regular season, Tommy John walked only 50 batters, 3 of them on purpose, in 220 innings. And his next pitch is grounded slowly to the shortstop, Bill Russell, who fields it, throws to first base, and decided to retire. But in the inning, 2 runs, they were unearned on 2 hits, a big home run by Greg Luzinski, 1 error, and no one left on base. And the score after 1/2 inning, the Phillies 2 and the Dodgers coming up.
It looked like for a moment or two that Tommy John would get out of it after giving up a leadoff single and double play and an error. That did it. And like Frankie Fish used to say, the walks and the errors will kill you. Well, Big Greg Luzinski, the Phillies, said earlier before the ball game that he figured that last year's playoff experience gives his team the edge.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think last year's playoff really helped us. I think the same guys are back this year. They're going to be on the field, and we went through that playoff, and it was a little bit of a different experience for us. A little bit of pressure on us. That's where the pressure mounts is in the playoffs, because you have to win the playoffs to go to the series, and we feel that it's our advantage that we're open on the road this time, and we will finish off with 3 at home.
Comments from the ball. Big Greg Luzinski. He clobbered one. They got Schmidt, but they couldn't get the other half of that power combination of Schmidt and Luzinski. So now Steve Carlton, 20-game winner, getting set on the mound as he will be pitching to the home team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, as we go back to L.A. Stadium.
After the first half inning of play, if you just tuned in, the Philadelphia Phillies picked up a couple of runs. With 2 down, Mike Schmidt was safe on an error by the shortstop Bill Russell, and then Greg Luzinski popped one over that center field wall 400 feet away, and the Phillies are on top 2-0. We go to the Dodgers first. Let's bring back Ralph Kiner. In the course of the season, each team won 6 games of the 12 played. Phillies did not do well here. They were 2-4 in this ballpark against the Dodgers, and at home, they reversed that. Davey Lopes, the leadoff, batted .283 for the regular season, a right-hand batter, excellent speed, and the first pitch by Steve Carlton is swung on and grounded foul. Carlton with a record of 23 wins and 10 losses, the most in the major leagues. He was 1-1 against the Philadelphia Phillies. He had an earned run average of 2.64 in the season. There's a drive to left field. Luzinski going over, and he makes the catch. The big bull running hard and far to his left actually caught up with that ball and had to catch it right in front of his body. So So a hard out as Lopes lines to left field. That will bring up Bill Russell, the shortstop. Russell batted .278 with 4 home runs and 51 RBIs. Started his career as an outfielder. And the first pitch by Steve Carlton, a called strike. Carlton had 17 complete games this year, pitched 2 shutouts, worked 283 innings, gave up 89 walks, struck out 198, and allowed 25 home runs. 1 ball and 1 strike as Carlton comes back inside. He works fast. Here's the pitch back to the plate, a curveball that hangs high. His catcher, Tim McCarver. McCarver catching every game that Carlton pitches. He caught him when they were both with the St. Louis Cardinals. Then he comes back inside and misses for ball 3. Carlton against the Dodgers this year won 1 and lost 1. And the next pitch is popped up in the shallow center field. Coming hard is McBride, and he is there, and he makes the catch. Phillies playing without the services of Gary Maddox, who batted .293. Maddox, an excellent center fielder. McBride also is an outstanding center fielder. Maddox injured the knee, and he is not available for this game, and maybe not for a couple more. That will bring up Reggie Smith, who batted .307 in the regular season. 32 home runs, 87 runs batted in. Reggie is switch hitter, and the first pitch is a curveball, too low for a ball. In one game Carlton lost to the Dodgers, he was wild. He walked 6 in 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, allowed 4 runs. Rick Rhoden was the winning pitcher of that one. Now ball 2, 2 balls and no strikes. Smith holds the bat high. Pitch back is fouled back. Fastball up around the letters, 2 balls and 1. Carlton, 32 years of age, from Chesterfield, Missouri. And the next pitch is grounded foul, so the count at 2-2. In 1972, he won 27 and lost 10 with 310 strikeouts, his greatest year. Now the left-hander back, and a curveball is swung over, and that's strike 3. Carlton's first strikeout, and he has retired the side in order. And the score at the end of 1, the Phillies 2 and the Dodgers nothing.
This shaped up as a pitcher's battle, and it still could be, even though the Phillies were off to a 2-0 lead with that 2-run homer by Luzinski. Before the game, the Dodgers, Tommy John, figured that he'd have to pitch an exceptional game tonight to beat the Phillies.
You have to be on the top of your game. There's no question about that. I don't think I can pitch from behind in count. I don't think I can pitch 2-0. I think I've got to pitch out in front and hopefully try to get them to chase some bad pitches, because they're a very, very intelligent ball club. And I don't know. I think I would have to pitch the kind of game that I pitched against Seaver down in Cincinnati the night that I beat him 3-2 on the first game of 4-game series. I'll have to pitch that kind of a game, and you cannot beat any ball club in the National League by pitching a poor game, and especially when you pitch one of the best team in the East.
And comments from the Dodgers pitcher tonight, lefty Tommy John.
We've gone through 1 inning of play here. The Dodgers and the Phillies, Dodger Stadium, and the Phillies sitting on top 2-0. Steve Carlton, a remarkable pitcher in 1977 with a record of 23-10. And yet, with all of that, he has not been effective on the road. He's got a record of 17-3 at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia and 16 in a row. So when he loses, Ralph Kiner, it's usually on the road. But after that first inning, it didn't look too bad. The Phillies are very tough at home, and they are now playing on the road. The first batter for the Phillies in the top of the second inning will be Jerry Martin, playing right field. Martin batted .260. He is a platoon player. He alternates with Jay Johnstone most of the time, playing in today's game because of Maddox not being able to play. Field now has been completely blocked out. There are no sunspots on the field, so there's no difficulty right now from the sun. Playing this ball game right now at 5:33 Los Angeles time. Ralph, they make a lot about the dusk problem here, just between daylight and darkness. Is there that much of a factor in your mind, really? I think probably the only real problem would be in high pop-up fly balls that you do have a tendency to lose. But at the plate with the modern day lights, I don't think it means that much difference.
Well, they were giving the Phillies the edge, or many baseball experts were, because of Carlton's big curveball and speed, and yet the odds makers in Las Vegas say the Dodgers are going to do it.
You know, the one thing, Jerry, when I was playing that I had trouble with when you did play in Twilight was the change of speed.
Off speed or breaking balls.
Right. Now we're ready to go. Jerry Martin steps into the batter's box, and Tommy John with his first pitch. And he catches that outside corner with what it might be called a screwball. It's sort of a halfway screwball, not as slow as a screwball that normally is thrown by a screwball pitcher like Tug McGraw. Fastball straightens Martin back, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. And Tommy John comes back outside. He likes to work low and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. He's 9-3 in Dodger Stadium. Pitched 3 shutouts. And the next pitch to Martin, swung on and grounded foul. He has won 14 of his last 17. And he is 6-0 here at home against the Eastern Division clubs. The Phillies are from the Eastern Division, of course, with the Dodgers representing the Western Division. A swing at a fastball at strike 3. Martin struck out, Tommy John first, and it brings up Tim McCarver. McCarver, a left-hand batter, hitting .320 for the year with 6 home runs and 30 runs batted in. Veteran left-hand catcher. He actually was released by the Boston Red Sox, and he called the Philadelphia Phillies up for a job to be a broadcaster. They said, we don't need any broadcasters, but we need a backup catcher, and they brought him in, and he has caught all the games that Carlton pitches. And here's the first pitch, a called strike. Phillies have won only 1 postseason game in their history. They won and played in the World Series in 1915 and lost 4-1. 1950, the Whiz Kids lost 4 straight to the Yankees, and last year Cincinnati defeated them 3 straight in the playoffs. And a pitch for a strike, so it's strike 2. And now Tommy John back low and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dodgers have a long record, of course, of being in World Series. And a curveball swung on and missed. 2 in a row for Tommy John. That'll bring up Ted Sizemore. Ted batted .281 in the regular season with 4 home runs and 47 runs batted in. The umpires for this game, we have 6 of them. Paul Pryor behind home plate, Bob Engel at first base, Harry Wendelstedt at second, Bruce Broming at third, Dutch Renard at the left field station, and Paul Runge in the right field station. Sizemore, a right-hand batter, and Tommy John with his first delivery, and he gets a called strike. 1 strike count. Phillies leading 2-0 on a 2-run home run by Greg Luzinski. And a curveball that's in the dirt, it bounces away from the catcher, Steve Yeager, and the count 1-1. Luzinski's home run way over the center field fence. When he gets the bat on it, it goes. He is an awesome slugger. One ball and 1 strike. And Tommy John back to work. And it's bunted up the third baseline foul. The ball picked up just in foul territory. Sizemore bunting ahead of Steve Carlton with 2 men out, but there is a fairly good explanation for that. Carlton is a good hitting pitcher.
Not only that, Sizemore may have a little word on what's going on around here. He played for the Dodgers last year. They got his big break, of course, when Dave Cash came back in the re-entry draft and went to Montreal. Phillies needed a second baseman desperately and traded for the Dodgers for Sizemore for Johnny Oates. So Ted's getting a big break. He's playing this year, whereas last year he was watching.
Ted Sizemore started with the Dodgers, was Rookie of the Year, and went to the St. Louis Cardinals, was traded back to the Dodgers, and then when he was not playing, he asked to be traded and went to the Philadelphia Phillies, and he has been an asset to the Phillies. 1 ball and 2 strikes as Sizemore gets back into the batter's box. Here's the pitch. And Ted takes it outside. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And now Tommy John back, and the next delivery is grounded over the top of the mound. Coming up to field it is Bill Russell. He fields it just in front of the bag at second and throws to first base for the out to retire this side in order. And the score at the end of 1.5 innings, the Phillies 2 and the Dodgers nothing.
Dodger skipper Tommy Lasorda feels the team has been consistent most of the season, and that was the key to the Western Division title.
It's got great character. It's a team that's really played hard all year. They never make too many mistakes. They know how to play the game. They do the little things that it takes to win. They execute the game fundamentally, and they've got a lot of courage. They've got a lot of togetherness, and this is something that I've said about them the entire season. They got a lot of desire. They believe they can win, and they can do the job. So I think the answer is that when you get ability and capacity together, then you have a good ball club, and that's what they did.
Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda, odds maker Jimmy DeGreek, tabbed the Dodgers and the Yankees the playoff favorites. Dodgers listed the 6-5 favorites to win this opener tonight. And he's picking the Yankees, who open home on Wednesday against Kansas City, at 7-5 for the first game.
Jerry Coleman, and the first batter will be Ron Cey for the Dodgers. Philadelphia 2 runs on 2 hits. The Dodgers have no runs and no hits. Steve Carlton retired the Dodgers in order in the first inning, and now the first batter for L.A. will be Ron Cey. Cey ended the year in terrible shape. He went 0 for 31 to drop his average down to 241. He set a record in the month of April when he drove in 29 runs, an all-time high for runs driven in April. Got off to a fantastic start, and like most baseball players, he reached the level. Ron Cey did not play in the last game, and now home plate umpire Paul Fire is looking at his bat, inspecting the hitting surface. The Dodgers have already lost one to the umpires when they thought they had the home plate area all doctored up, and the umpire said, no, you got too much dirt there, take it off. And Cey stepped into the batter's box. The first pitch by Carlton is low, it's ball 1. Carlton has won 191 games in his major league career. It started with the St. Louis Cardinals. And the pitch back, a fastball on the outside part of the plate at the knees. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Lifetime against the Dodgers, he has won 12 and lost 9. Tries a curveball, a hard slider more than a curve, and it's inside for a ball. 2-1. Carlton with the big overhand curve, the hard slider, and the good fastball. Then he comes back inside with a slider, and Cey grounds it foul down the third base side. Ron Cey with 30 home runs, 110 RBIs for the year. And a 2-2. The big left-hander back to the plate. A fastball line. Cey makes the turn at first base and holds there, and the Dodgers have their first batter on.
We might mention, Ralph, about the examination of the bat. You can have no foreign substance farther than 18 inches from the bottom of the bat, and that may be what the umpire was checking out.
Also, there can be no grooves in the hitting surface of the bat, and it cannot be flattened out. Cey passed the test. He kept the bat, so it is all right. So Cey is on, and Steve Garvey coming up. And the first pitch to Garvey, a half swing, he went too far. It's a swinging strike. Garvey has hit in 14 of his last 18 games coming to the series. And over that period, he batted .436 to raise his average to .297. He led the Dodgers in home runs with 33, the most by any Dodger in Los Angeles. And he drove in 115 runs. Dodgers moved to Los Angeles in 1958. And the next pitch is grounded foul right off the end of the bat. Carlton has a 2-strike count on the dangerous Steve Garvey. Once again, Carlton sets up, checks the runner at first base, then the pitch, a fastball hit to left field. It'll be a base hit. Luzinski comes over the field. Cey goes to second base and holds there, and the Dodgers have runners at first and second with no one out. Crowd anticipating a Dodger rally. The Phillies leading 2-0. With Dusty Baker coming up. He hit in 17 of his last 18 games, had 15 runs batted in. And he has reached first base 44 of his last 45 games. Dusty Baker, a great comeback here, and he takes the first pitch to call strike. Baker batted .291 with 30 home runs and 86 RBIs. There's quite a story about his 30th home run. 3 Dodgers that had 30 home runs or more. Next pitch is taken high. A breaking ball. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Dusty Baker, if he could get 1 more home run on his 29, would become the 4th Dodger to have 30 or more home runs. There's a swing and a miss, and it's 1 and 2. And he went a week trying to get it, and finally in his last at bat, he hit a home run off J.R. Richards for his 30th, and the Dodgers set an all-time record of having 4 ball players with 30 or more home runs. No other team has done that. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Steve Carlton in a jam, comes back with a curveball. It's grounded foul.
I talked to McCarver before the ball game, Ralph, and I asked him, would he be in trouble, that is, Steve Carlton, if he didn't have his curve? He said yes, but he'll have it.
He's been getting the curveball over. Of course, it's hard for any pitcher to win on just 2 pitches, even if you can throw it harder than anybody else. The pitch back as a new ball is put in play is a fastball just inside, 2 and 2. We have a message from the president of the National League, Chubb Finney, regarding the home plate discussion prior to the game. The umpires thought the ground was too soft in front of the home plate, and they asked the head groundskeeper to remove the excess dirt. Now a high pop-up in foul territory, playable for the first baseman, Dave Johnson, and he makes the catch. So 1 away, and that'll bring up the center fielder, Glenn Burke, who is a rookie. Burke was brought up during the season and batted .254. Rick Mundy, who was the starting center fielder for the Dodgers, had a lot of back problems, and he was not able to play during the latter stage of the season. He did get back into action near the end of it. And Glenn Burke playing in center field in his first playoff game. Burke had 1 home run and 13 for the year. He has good speed. And the first pitch by Carlton is taken high, a breaking ball, ball 1. Phillies leading 2-0. The Dodgers with runners at first and second. 1 man out. We're in the bottom half of the 6th inning. And a pitch back again, the curveball. It's outside. 2 balls, no strikes. And the left-hander sets up again. Here's the pitch. Fastball fouled back. On the 2-0 count, he got the fastball. Burke was behind it and fouls it back. Once again, the left-hander ready, and the pitch is a fastball hit to center field. Back is McBride. He is under it. The runner's halfway, and he makes the catch. And Cey goes back to second base, and Garvey back to first. 2 men away, and the batter will be the catcher, Steve Garvey. In last Sunday's ball game, Yeager was in the on-deck circle, and a bat shattered, and it hit him in the head and knocked him unconscious. And they took him to the hospital, but he was all right. Earlier in his career, he was almost killed by a bat where half of it stuck near his jugular vein in the throat, and they had to do a very serious operation. Steve Yeager, and he takes the first pitch, a called strike.
Ralph, that happened in San Diego. That bat actually impaled him, and it took 6 hours to remove the splinters.
Very close to a casualty in baseball. Yeager is a rugged-type catcher, and he is a good one. 1 strike count. Time called by home plate umpire Paul Pryor. Now Yeager out of the box is back in. And Carlton ready to go. And his 1 strike pitch. Popped up out into shallow right field, actually right on the edge of the outfield grass under the ball at Sizemore. He puts it away. So after back-to-back singles with no one out in the second, Carlton comes back to retire the side with no runs.
Phillies are almost
2 men
unbeatable at home during the regular
end
season with a record of 60 and 21. And outfielder Jay Johnstone figures a split at L.A. will give the Phillies an edge coming back to Veterans Stadium.
He went 2 and 2 to Dusty Baker, and that's as far as he wanted to go. Had he gone... with runners at first and second, nobody out, and Baker up there. He said, man, we're going to go for the downs right now. No one's going to bunt. We're going to see what we can do with it. He might be second-guessing himself a little bit, but when you got a guy that hits 30 home runs, you go for the big inning, and that's what happened. So as we go through the first 2 innings of play, it's Philadelphia 2, Dodgers nothing.
Here in the top of the third, the leadoff batter for the Philadelphia Phillies will be Steve Carlton. Carlton, a good hitting pitcher, will be batting against the left-hander, which might take some of the advantage that he would have as a pitcher away. Tommy John completing his warm-up pitches.
That Carlton's 268 batting averages looks as good as some that I see that play every day.
He's good with that bat, and he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. In a ball game back on August 7th against the Dodgers, the Phillies won it 3-1 with Carlton on the mound. He had 2 hits and drove in one of the runs. And now it's Tommy John with the first pitch, a curve, and it's popped up out in the shallow right field. Lopes going back. He's the only one there, and he has trouble with it. It dropped in. Lopes going back. No right fielder, no center fielder, and Lopes had the only go at it, and he was turned in the wrong direction and couldn't get his glove on it. It dropped in.
Well, I think both the right fielder, Reggie Smith, and the center fielder, Glenn Burke, conceded that play too soon, and suddenly Lopes found himself as the only man around it. Smith may have had a shot had he come all the way, or Lopes wasn't quite sure what to do.
The other option might be, Jerry, that in the twilight, the one thing that you really do have trouble with is finding the ball in the air. They might not have seen it. So Carlton is on. It is scored as a base hit. And the Phillies have a runaround with no one out, and Bake McBride batting for the second time. McBride singled his first time up. He ended the season with a 12-game hitting streak. McBride hit .316 for the year, and with the Philadelphia Phillies, he batted over .330. He came to the Phillies from the St. Louis Cardinals for Tom Underwood. And the first pitch is inside, a breaking ball right on the corner, a called strike. Phillies leading 2-0, 2 runs on 3 hits. The Dodgers have no runs on 2. No one out in the top of the third. And Tommy John with his next delivery. And he tries a curveball and misses outside. Ball down around the knees, 1 ball and 1 strike. Tommy John was the comeback player of the year last year when he won 10 and lost 10. After going through a serious arm operation, it was so serious it had never been done before. And now a pitch that's low, and they count 2 balls and 1 strike. They replaced a ruptured ligament in his left elbow with a tendon from his right forearm. And after the 10-10 year last year, he has won 20 and lost 7 this year. Now a pitch, and they counted 2 balls and 2 strikes. In 1974, when the Dodgers played the Pittsburgh Pirates in the championship series, Tommy John threw out the first ball with his right hand. His left hand was in a sling because of the operation. And now a high pop up the right field. Reggie Smith sees this one, makes a routine catch, and McBride is out. That will bring up Larry Bowa. Bowa grounded into a double play his first time up. And he is a tough man to double. When Tommy John accepted his award for being the comeback player of the year, his opening line was, "I hope I never get one of these things again." Bowa batting from the right-hand side against the left-hander. Say the third baseman about 80 feet away to guard against the possibility of a bunt, and the first pitch on the outside corner down around the knees. It's a called strike. Carlton is not being held on by Steve Garvey, the first baseman. Garvey playing about 4 steps from the bag. 1 strikeout as Tommy John comes back with a curveball. He gets it over. Breaking ball for strike 2. Tommy John said that after that arm operation, there was nothing that could faze him. not even pitching in a situation like this. He also plans to race in the Baja Road Race, which takes a few bits of courage. And he misses inside to count 1-2. He is a candidate for the Cy Young Award, along with Steve Carlton. The 1-2 pitch is grounded hard down the line. Backhand play by Ron Cey. The throw to second base is a one-bounce throw, but in time. Cey with a brilliant play.
Ralph, those are the kind of plays that can turn a ball game around. Had that ball gone by Cey, or had he missed it, the Phillies have something rolling here with their big guys coming up. But when he made that one, that just broke the back of what looked like a budding rally.
Caught that ball in foul territory with a backhand play. If it had gone by, it would have meant runners at least on second and third. And the big batters, Mike Schmidt and Greg Luzinski, due up. Now Schmidt steps in the batter's box. The runner at first base, Larry Bohr there. He's a threat to steal. Had 32 out of 35 this year. Schmidt is 274, 38 home runs, 101 RBIs, and Tommy John with his first pitch, and it's too low for a ball. Tommy John is a nibbler. He likes to pitch around the strike zone and make you go after his pitch. Bohr has stolen 15 in a row, and he had 32 out of 35 for the year. The pitch back to Schmidt is fouled back into the stands, and Schmidt looked as though he was trying to hit that ball to right field. One ball, one strike. Tommy John working the pace, slowing it down now at this point. Phillies leading 2-0. 2 men out. We're in the top of the third. And a throw to first base and Bohr back easily. A little calling card throw, nothing on it. John smooths out the dirt in front of the pitching slam and now sets up, checks the catcher's sign, goes to the stretch, and comes to the plate. And Schmidt checks his swing and foul tips the ball into the catcher's glove. 1-2.
An interesting sidelight here. The defense, they've split the defense. They've got the outfield into right center, and the infield pulled to the left side. It's rather unusual with a guy like Schmidt, who is a big pull hitter.
Really is unusual because if he hits it, he can hit it to left field with no problem. He has a great quick bat. 1-2, and it's outside for ball 2. What that would mean to me, Jerry Coleman, is that they're going to pitch him a lot of screwballs outside.
Randy Jones of the San Diego Padres has beaten the Phillies the last 4 times around and has given them 1 run in those 4 games. John's a lot like Jones.
Very close. There goes the runner. The pitch is swung on and missed, and that ends the inning. Schmidt is struck out. The third one for Tommy John. In the inning, 1 hit by the pitcher, Steve Carlton. The runner left at first. And the score at the end of 2.5 innings, the Phillies 2 and the Dodgers nothing.
Well, Carlton got a slow start on that one. Looked like he had plenty of time if he had a hustle, and they got a big break being a pitcher on the bases. The Phillies were almost unbeatable at home during the regular season with a 60-21 record. And outfielder Jay Johnstone, who's not playing tonight, figures a split at Los Angeles will give the Phillies an edge coming back to Veterans Stadium.
Our main objective is to come away winning one of these games. Everyone would like to win 2. That's being very optimistic, and of course, but if we win 1 and we go back to Philadelphia with 3 games to play, we got a pretty good chance.
Marty Springstead, an American League umpire for 13 years, heading up the crew of 6 umpires for the American League Championship Series beginning Wednesday at Yankee Stadium with New York meeting Kansas City. Springstead umpired previously in the 1970 and 74 American League playoffs, as well as the 1973 World Series. Working with him will be Jerry Newdecker, Russ Goetz, Bill Deegan, Jim McKean, and Nick Bremigan.
We're going now to the bottom of the third. The Phillies leading by a score of 2-0, and for the Dodgers, Tommy John to lead off. Philadelphia 2-run 3 hits, and the Dodgers no runs on 2. And the 2 runs the Phillies have are unearned. They came after an error by the shortstop Bill Russell with 2 men out. Luzinski hit a home run over the center field fence. Tommy John, a right-hand batter. And he is taking a lot of time getting in the batter's box. Steve Carlton starts off with a fastball. It's popped into shallow right. Sizemore going back. Also coming up in the ball is Jerry Martin, and Martin runs Sizemore off the play and makes the catch. One pitch and one away. That'll bring up Davey Lopes, who is batting for the second time. His first time up, he lined out to the left fielder, Greg Luzinski.
Lopes is generally considered the catalyst here on this ball club, Ralph Kiner, and if he can have himself a good day, get on the base and start running, as you know, he led the league in stolen bases the last couple of years, although fell short this year, but still had himself a good season in stolen bases. Davey Lopes is a guy that can activate a ball club, and they've got to get something rolling here now.
47 stolen bases this year, and the winner this year in stolen bases was Frank Covera for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the first pitch to Lopes, a fastball that's fouled back out of play. Right in there on the hands, right about letter high. Carlton has not walked a batter. He has struck out one. He has given up 2 hits. And the pitch back is inside. Lopes has to turn away. 1 ball and 1 strike. And now the left-hander back again, and again he misses, this time high with a fastball. Carlton, when he first came to the major leagues, had great velocity. Now it's 2-1 the pitch. It is a fastball popped up and playable. The first baseman, Johnson, is there, and Dave puts it into the glove. Carlton was the first man in the history of baseball to strike out 19 batters. He did that against the New York Mets in 1969, but he lost the ball game when Ron Cey had 2 two-run home runs off of him. He is the only man to strike out 19 and lose. Now the batter coming up, Bill Russell, and he takes the call strike. Russell flied out to center field his last time up. Russell, as the shortstop, had 16 stolen bases, his all-time high, and he passes one down the left field side, just fouled by a matter of an inch. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Ralph Kiner, along with Jerry Coleman from Los Angeles, California. Phillies leading 2-0, bottom half of the third, 2 men away, and the next pitch to Russell is taken out. And a curveball bounced to the shortstop, Larry Bohr, and he picks it up, slingshots it. The first baseman the side retired in order. And the score at the end of 3, the Phillies 2 and the Dodgers nothing.
Tom Watson bidding for a victory, which would give him the single-season money-winning record, will start the 4-1 favorite in the field of 16 Wednesday in the $225,000 World Match Play Golf Championship at Virginia Water, England. Watson, U.S. Masters and British Open champion, needs to add $43,000 to his $310,653 winning so far this year to top Johnny Miller's 1974 all-time record, and the first prize at Virginia Water of $52,500 would do it nicely. British bookmakers have made Hale Irwin, attempting to snag the title for the 3rd time in 4 years, a 6-1 shot, followed by U.S. Open champion Hubert Green and Lanny Watkins at 7-1, Ray Floyd at 10-1. For the first time in its 14-year history, the championship has been doubled in size to 16 players, and the winner faces the possibility of having to play 144 holes in 4 days, making endurance a key factor. In Wednesday's first-round 36-hole matches, Watson will face a Taiwan opponent, while Irwin has a much stiffer test against British Ryder Cupper Peter Oosterhout. Watson flew in from California Monday with a bad case of jet lag and could not use Tuesday as a practice day on the 6,969-yard Burma Road course at Wentworth. Green takes on former winner Graham Marsh of Australia. Floyd meets Ernesto Acosta of Mexico, individual winner of the 1976 World Cup. Watkins will face British veteran Neil Coles.
It's the top of the 4th inning. The Phillies leading 2-0 on a 2-run home run by Greg Luzinski, and now Greg batting for the 2nd time. Luzinski's home run went over the center field fence and drove in Mike Schmidt, who was safe on an error. The error prolonged the inning, so the runs were unearned, and the first pitch to Luzinski is a ball. Greg hit in 8 of his last 9 regular season games, had 3 doubles, 3 home runs, and drove in 8 runs. And the Bull had 39 home runs to lead the club. He takes outside for ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Batted .309 for the year, and again the pitch is out of the strike zone. Low this time for ball 3. Dodgers had the best team earned run average in the National League with a 3.22 ERA. Actually, it was the best in the major leagues. And Tommy John with his next pitch, a called strike. 3-1. Dodgers set an all-time attendance record last season, this past year. And a pitch that is low and outside. Luzinski walks. The Dodgers drew 2,955,087, an all-time record, breaking a record that they had held. And a pitch that is low and outside. Luzinski walks. The Dodgers drew 2,955,087, an all-time record, breaking a record that they had held. Some sort of attendance. The Phillies had a great year. They drew 2,700,070.
Ralph, the Dodgers would have gone over 3 million with these. They had 3 rainouts here in Los Angeles, and that is one of the great freaks of all time. Without that, they would have made 3 million easily.
Amazing year for the Dodgers. Now Luzinski is running. The pitch is taken by Dave Johnson. The throw is high over the head of Lopes covering at second base, and Luzinski has a stolen base. He had 4 in the regular season and 6 attempts.
That was a throw that just got away from Yeager, Ralph. No more you can say than that. It just sailed into center field. Yeager with a shotgun had the ball there plenty of time, but it went in center field. That ball was 10 feet over second base, and no chance for Lopes to get to it.
Gotta believe Luzinski surprised everybody in this ballpark. I know he surprised me. He was not being held on by Garvey. Garvey was playing about 2 steps back of him, and he took off for second, and the Bull went into second with a big slide, and the ball went to center field. And the next pitch to Johnson is fouled off, and the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Luzinski had 4 in the regular season. They might have all been on the back end of a double steal. He's had 16 stolen bases in his major league career. Next pitch back to Johnson is low and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Dave Johnson. Once again, Tommy John set to go. He checks the runner at second this time and throws to the plate. Misses outside for ball 3. The voting for the most valuable player award and the Cy Young award and Rookie of the Year award has taken place, so that anything done in the playoffs of the World Series will not affect a voter's thinking. A ground ball hits the third. Cey moves to his left to field it. And the Penguin comes up with the ball, throws to first base for the out. Luzinski holding at second base, and the batter will be Jerry Martin.
If you're going to wait for back-to-back base on balls from Tommy John, you might be here at those nose because he doesn't do it often.
He only gave up 50 in the regular season and working 220 innings. Jerry Martin was struck out his first time up. Right-hand batter playing right field. And now the pitch, and Martin takes the breaking ball low and inside. 1 ball, no strike. So Luzinski, a short lead at second base is Tommy John. Lifts in for the sign. Goes to the set position, and the next pitch back is taken outside.
Ralph, I get the feeling John has lost his pattern out there for the first time in the ball game. Other than the bad pitch to Luzinski, this is the first inning where he seems to have lost the pattern. He's been high and in, low and outside, and he just hasn't been as sharp as he was in those middle 2 innings.
He hasn't been around the plate, right on the edges, so to speak. He's been missing by a considerable margin for him, and that pitch was low, and was low down around the ankles. It was not close to the knees. 3 balls and no strikes. Again, Tommy John with the delivery, and he gets a strike right at the knees on the outside corner. His type of pitch is 3-1. With the Dodgers, Tommy John has won 70 and lost, but 32 in 5 years. And his next pitch, it is grounded to the third baseman, Cey, who has to wait for a high hop to throw to first base. Is just in time. Barry Martin hustling down the line and is out, but by a very close margin. Luzinski also held at second base for that out, and it will bring up Tim McCarver, the catcher. McCarver was struck out his first time up. Phillies leading 2-0. 2 men out. We're in the top of the fourth inning. Well, I see you got your name on the message board up there, Jerry. Dodger Stadium welcome to Ralph Kiner and Jerry Coleman, broadcasting the National League Championship Series on CBS Radio. And we're happy to be here.
Delighted. I'll tell you, this looks like a good series.
And here's the pitch now to Tim McCarver, and the pitch is low inside the ball. McCarver is a very personable young man. Has aspirations to be a broadcaster when he gets out of baseball. But he has prolonged his career by going to the Phillies and catching Steve Carlton. And a pitch again for a ball. It's 2 balls and no strikes. And Tommy John working behind the hitter. And the next pitch is grounded foul. So the count at 2 balls and 1 strike.
We might mention, Ralph, that tomorrow, Wednesday, October the 5th, the New York Yankees and the Kansas City Royals will get off the ground with Ernie Harwell and Ned Martin calling the game from Yankee Stadium. Airtime will be 3:07 Eastern Daylight on many of these same CBS radio stations, and we'll once again get underway at 8:07 Eastern Daylight time here in Dodger Stadium.
Okay, Jerry, a 2-1 pitch, and McCarver takes it inside, 3 balls and 1 strike. With Steve Carlton pitching and McCarver hitting, McCarver has hit .336 with 5 home runs. So he has been a real asset, both handling Carlton, who is not easy to handle, and hitting for Carlton. And the next pitch is inside. McCarver walks, and that will bring up Ted Sizemore with runners at first and second. Second walk in the inning given up by Tommy John. Sizemore grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. Danny Ozark, the manager of the Phillies, talking about Steve Carlton, said, I never completely understand him, but I know enough to give him the ball every 5th day, meaning that he can pitch. 2 men away, runners at first and second base. We're in the top of the 4th inning. The Phillies leading by 2, and the first pitch by Tommy John outside of the strike zone again. It's ball 1. The most pitches I've seen Tommy John make around the plate and out of the strike zone. And we got some action going in the bullpen for the Dodgers, and the pitch for a ball. It's 2 balls, no strike. Sizemore is batting in the 8th batting position, so it's not a matter of life or death if he walks because the pitcher is due up. Mike Garman, a right-hander, throwing in the bullpen, and another pitch out of the strike zone. It's 3-0. Tommy John on the verge of doing something he probably hasn't done too many times in his baseball career, walking the bases full. 3-0, runners at first and second base. He sets up, and here's the pitch, and it's a strike call. Sizemore taking all the way, and the count of 3 balls and 1 strike. Mike Garman warming up in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Acquired from McCarver. 3-1 pitch on the way, and it's grounded to third. Cey makes a good play and a hard smash as the defenses it. Throws to second base for the 4th play that retires his side. In the inning, no runs, no hits, 2 walks, and 2 men left on base. And the score at the end of 3.5 innings, the Phillies 2 and the Dodgers nothing.
Willie McCovey, a one-time most valuable player who had to earn his spot on the roster of his old team, the San Francisco Giants, was named Nationally Comeback Player of the Year Tuesday by the Sporting News in St. Louis. Eric Soderholm, sidelined in 1976 by knee surgery and resulting complications, earned the American League honors for his play with the Chicago White Sox. At 39, McCovey was one of the few bright spots for the Giants this season, slamming 28 homers, batting .282, and driving in 86 runs. The big first baseman also hit his 17th Grand Slam homer, setting a league record.
For those of you who may have just tuned in, we have a 2-0 ball game going here at Dodger Stadium. The Phillies are leading. The scoring came in the first inning. Bake McBride started with a single to right, but was erased on the front end of a double play when Boa bounced to the shortstop. A 6-4-3 double play retired the first two hitters. But then Mike Schmidt hit a ground ball to Bill Russell, and he backed up on it just a little bit. His throw to first was high as Schmidt, with good speed, beat it out. Russell was charged with an error. Then after that, Greg Luzinski, the bull, came on and popped one over that center field wall for the only 2 runs in the ball game. And that's the way we stand right now going into the 4th inning. Carlton had some problem in the 2nd inning when Cey and Garvey opened it up with following singles. But after that, Baker, Burke, and Yeager went down, and that's been it as far as Los Angeles is concerned. They have a couple of hits, the back-to-back singles, but no real threat in the ball game. Steve Carlton, taking a little extra warm-up, is ready to go now as we move to the bottom of the 4th. Ralph?
The championship series began back in 1969, the year of the Miracle Mets, and the Mets swept Atlanta in 3 games and went on to beat Baltimore in the World Series. Cincinnati made a clean sweep of the LCS in 1970, taking 3 straight from the Pirates, but Pittsburgh made the best of the return trip in 1971, beating San Francisco 3-1. First pitch to Reggie Smith, this grounded foul. Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh 3-2 in 1972, a 5-game series, the first one. And the Reds took the series to a 5-game limit again in 1973 before losing to the Mets. Reds have dominated the LCS the past 2 seasons, sweeping past Pittsburgh in 1975 and Philadelphia in 1976. Now pitch for a ball. It's 1-1 to Reggie Smith. Smith has been voted the Dodger most valuable player in his last 2 games before the end of the season. He had hit a home run in each. Now at 2-1, the pitch to Smith is hit in the air to shallow left center field. Coming over from center field is Bake McBride. He makes the catch.
It's remarkable when you can lose a center fielder like Gary Maddox and come up with a man like Bake McBride and really not even lose a little bit of your stride because they're about match even.
Reggie Smith having a great year. Bake McBride going from the Cardinals to the Phillies having a great year. Phillies had a string of 13 consecutive wins with McBride playing center field. Here's Ron Cey stepping in. He singled his first time up. And Carlton starts off with a curveball. We've got one of the most beautiful sights here in Los Angeles, looking out over into the San Gabriel Mountains and over the hills. The sun shining brightly on the hills and the mountains in the far distance. Now a pitch back, a swinging strike at strike 2. And at 2 strikes, the pitch to Cey, taken low in the count 1-2. This area is called Chavez Ravine. And it has been beautified by this beautiful stadium, the last one built with private capital, going back to Yankee Stadium in 1922. Now at 1-2, the pitch to Cey, a fastball swung on and missed, and Cey is out. The second strikeout was Carlton. It'll bring up Steve Garvey. Garvey singled the left field his first time up. He played in 162 games for the 2nd straight year. No one on. 2 men out. Bottom of the 4th inning. The Phillies leading by a score of 2-0. And Carlton's pitch. Fastball that's outside. Right around the letters. 1 ball and no strike. And Carlton working quickly. Comes back with a curveball that's shot foul down the third base side. It counted 1 ball and 1 strike.
Garvey has quite a story here with the Dodgers, Ralph, as you know. He had no position and was almost on the verge of being traded until Billy Buckner injured his ankle at first base. They put Garvey at first, a position he had not played. He was a third baseman, and he found his place away from home, and no one has moved him since. That's 4 years ago, but he had a very inaccurate arm and couldn't play third well.
Strictly a problem of throwing. He could catch it, and now the 1-1 pitch. Garvey fouls it back out of play. His father used to drive a bus in Tampa, Florida, that used to take the different teams around to the different ballparks. And Steve Garvey would get aboard and ride when he was a kid. And his idol was Gil Hodges, the great ball player for the Dodgers. Later on, a manager, and was the manager when the Mets won in 1969. Pitch for a ball. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the pitch back is lined by the shortstop in the left field. So Garvey continues as he gets his second base hit. And they have a runner on with 2 men out and Dusty Baker coming up. Hits are all even at 3 apiece, but the Phillies lead 2-0. Baker fouled out his first time up. And the first pitch to the right-hand batter, curveball low and inside the ball. And a throw to first base, and Garvey back easily. Carlton led the National League with 22 pickoffs. And there is a lot of controversy about his move to first. Most people that play against him say he boxed. Here's his next delivery. It's inside, and the count at 2 balls and no strikes.
Ralph, that great move of his is the reason that Tim McCarver can stay in there behind the plate. If you could run on Carlton, it'd be hard to play McCarver, whose arm is rather weak.
2 balls, no strikes. And the pitch back is high, and the count 3-0. Behind Dusty Baker, rookie Glenn Burke. Baker would walk. The tying run would be at first base with 2 men away in the bottom of the 4th inning. And the next pitch is taken high. It's ball 4. And again, the Dodgers have runners at first and second. This time, though, with 2 men away. Cey and Garvey were on in the second with no one out, but they did not advance. So McCarver out to the mound to talk to Carlton. Talked to him briefly, and he now turns and comes back behind home plate as Glenn Burke comes up to the batter's box. Carlton, first walk of the ball game. In the course of the regular season, he walked a total of 89. And the first pitch to the right-hand batter, very high for a ball. Burke was recalled from Albuquerque on June 3rd, where he was hitting .309 in the Pacific Coast League. Now time is called by Ted Sizemore. He wants to come in and talk to Steve Carlton.
If it gets down to the fact of the bullpen, it may be the Phillies will have the edge as we look at it now. They've got 4 pretty good ones. Dodgers struggling.
Big bullpen edge, as the experts say, and the next pitch back is in the strike zone. A fastball foul back out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. One ball, 1 strike, and Carlton pitches with Sizemore standing about a foot away from the bag. A hole open on the right side, but Burke did not take advantage of it as he swings and fouls it over toward the Dodger dugout on the third base side. Carlton pitching with his second baseman out of position. And the next pitch hits to the third baseman, Schmidt, who fields it. His throw to second base is high, but taken with a one-hand grab by Sizemore, and that retires his side. So once again, the Dodgers leave 2 on a walk and a base hit. And the score at the end of 4, it's the Phillies 2 and the Dodgers nothing.
The Cincinnati Reds announced today that they have signed center fielder Cesar Geronimo to a new 4-year contract, which extends through 1981. The 29-year-old Geronimo is regarded as one of the finest defensive outfielders in the National League and has won a Gold Glove Award for fielding excellence the last 3 years. He was charged with just 2 errors in 147 games during the 1977 season, his 6th year with the Reds, and he batted .265. Terms of the contract were not disclosed.
Tommy John, warming up on the mound for the Dodgers, has met adversity twice. Several years ago, while he was with the Chicago White Sox, he had his left shoulder separated when he and Dick McAuliffe, then with the Tigers, got into a scuffle. He came back from that to be an outstanding pitcher. 3 years ago, he snapped the bone or a ligament in his left arm. And I've got to tell you, if you saw the results after that operation, the entire left forearm had atrophied almost to the bone. Looking at it, no one would have believed that Tommy John would have come back. But he persevered. He stayed out an entire year. And as Ralph told you, came back to win 10 a year ago and 20 this year. And if there was ever a pitcher who came back from the grave, Tommy John is the man. And here he is opening up in the opening of the championship series here in Los Angeles for the Dodgers.
Really an outstanding person. He is like Will Rogers used to be. He has never met a man he hasn't liked, and he is a real gentleman. And the left-hander will be working now to Steve Carlton. Carlton got a lucky base hit his first time up on a ball that dropped between the center fielder and the right fielder, and Davey Lopes. Lopes went back to try and catch it when the outfielders weren't there and it dropped in. And Carlton falls away from the plate, has a half swing, 1 ball and 1 strike. And it has not been easy for Tommy John in this ball game, but he is hanging tight after giving up 2 runs in the first that were both unearned on a home run to Greg Luzinski with Mike Schmidt on base. And the pitch grounded foul. It's 1-2. He's had 1-2-3 innings. Carlton swings and grounds the ball foul. It's 1-2. Carlton batted .268 in the regular season with 3 home runs and 15 runs batted in. Good hitting pitcher, and he gets hit right in the head. The ball bounces over to the on-deck circle, and he appears to be all right. He's wearing the protective helmet, the fiberglass helmet, and he is not even bothering to take a look at it. It was a, I believe, slow curveball. Actually, looking at the replay again, it was down around the right arm, so it did not get him on the helmet. The ball was not a hard-thrown pitch, so he's all right, and he hasn't even rubbed. So Carlton on at first base. No one out, and the batter coming up will be Bake McBride, who has a single and 2 times up. And again, action starting up in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Mike Garman was warming up before, and it appears to be Garman again. Now Tommy John with his pitch is bunted out to the mound. John picks it up, throws the second in time for the 4th play at second. And McBride is on at first base, running into a 4th play. So with Mike Garman throwing in the bullpen, the Dodgers get a quick out on the bunt attempt. And the batter now coming up will be Larry Boa. Boa is 0 for 2. Boa grounded into a double play his first time up and grounded into a 4th play his second. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Phillies leading 2-0, 1 man out. McBride, a good runner on at first base. A hard smash to second. Lopes one-hands it, throws the second base in time for the 4th play. And they try for... And now, wait a minute, there's going to be a change of the decision. The shortstop, Bill Russell, was not in the bag at second base as Lopes threw there, and the runner called safe at second. McBride was leaving the bag and was about 4 steps away when he heard the call, and he quickly got back. So the Dodgers trying for 2 got none. And the Phillies have runners at first and second. And Tom Lasorda is out to argue with second base umpire. The call was safe at second. The throw was taken by Bill Russell at shortstop, and he was standing about 3 or 4 inches off the bag. And when you look at it on the videotape replay, there is no doubt about the call being the right call.
That was an excellent call by Harry Wendelstedt, and one that isn't the normal routine play. If the ball beats the runner, he's automatically out, and that could be a critical play in the ball game. There have been a couple of them here. That is a big one. Someone's going to have to be hung with the air, and it's the shortstop, Bill Russell.
Second error by the shortstop, Bill Russell, and it was clear as the fact that he was not on the bag. He was not touching the bag at any time. Sometimes if you come across that bag, you can take the throw as you're leaving it and get away with it. This time, he never got to the bag. So now runners at first and second with one man out, and the batter will be Mike Smith. An error charge to the shortstop, Bill Russell. Great stop on the ball by Davy Lopes, the second baseman, and a very good throw. Smith is 0 for 2. And the first pitch by Tommy John, rounded to the third baseman. Cey. He has to wait for it, and he picks up a force play after making the catch as he goes to the bag at third. No chance at all for the double play. Boa moves down to second, and Mike Smith on the force play at third. That'll bring up Greg Luzinski, who has driven in the only runs of this ball game, a 2-run home run in the first. Luzinski hit his home run over the center field fence. It was a tremendous cloud of over 420 feet. Now batting with runners at first and second base. We're in the top of the fifth inning, 2 men out. And Tommy John with his first pitch. It's low, and it's ball 1. Once again, Tommy John starting this inning by hitting a batter, starting with wildness. And he comes back and misses low again. 2 balls and no strikes. Charlie Huff is going along with Mike Garman now in the bullpen. Knuckleballer Charlie Huff. And Tommy John's next pitch, way outside, ball 3, backhanded by Steve Yeager. 3 balls, no strikes. So the anticipation of Luzinski being given the hit sign here makes it tough on Tommy John. He comes back way outside. It's ball 4 and the bases are loaded. And that'll bring up Dave Johnson. And as a result of the error, if any runs score in this inning, they will be unearned as they were in the first inning when an error prolonged the inning for Greg Luzinski's home run. Third walk by Tommy John. He also has hit a batter. Working under extreme pressure in this first game of the best of 3 out of 5. And now working from the windup, the first pitch to Dave Johnson, a curveball low, it's ball 1. Capacity crowd. First 2 games are right here in L.A., and then we move on to Philadelphia. The next pitch is lined into center field, a base hit. Run scores, and now the second, and the Philadelphia Phillies lead by a score of 4-0. And a clutch base hit by Dave Johnson, who played his last 2 years in Japan. And here comes Tom Lasorda to the mound. This was not a Tommy John specialty tonight. He simply was not the pitcher that he has been, winning those 20 games for the Dodgers. He was erratic and at times ran into problems. He's walked 3, which is unusual in itself, and then the hit batter. Plus, in each case that he was burned, it was a high curveball to Luzinski, went over the center field wall, and a high pitch, possibly a slight screwball to Dave Johnson that was set sail into center field that drove in 2 more. And the Phillies right now, with their big guy Steve Carlton doing so well, are in pretty good shape. They're out in front by 4. This game is a long way from over, but when you've got a pitcher of Carlton's caliber going strongly with a 4-0 lead, you've got a lot of problems to try to make it up. And it looks as though they are going to wave to the bullpen, and it's going to be Mike Garman, the right-hander, coming in. So Mike Garman
coming on to take over for Tommy John. Garvin has drifted around a little bit. His record now is 4-4. Earned run average of 2.71, appearing in his 50th game. He was in 49 during the regular season, and of course this is his first game in playoff action. But Garvin was not a very effective relief pitcher in the latter stages of the season. In fact, the Dodgers as a whole, Ralph Kiner, struggled through the final 3 months. They got off to that 22-4 start, and then from there on, they played better than 500, but not the kind of baseball it takes to win a pennant. They got so far ahead of everybody, they just wiped them out before things got started. So Tommy John is leaving the field and getting a hand, and Mike Garvin is the first pitching change of the ball game. Phillies are on top 4-0. They got 2 in the first on Luzinski's home run. 2 here in the 5th inning on a single to center field by Dave Johnson with the bases loaded. And once again, we can point to the Philadelphia Phillies and that bench of theirs, depending on who is pitching and how. They can play Johnson at first or Richie Hebner. They can switch between Ollie Brown, Gary Maddox, Vic McBride, Jerry Martin. They've got a lot of things going for them where they can move players around and come off the bench with some pretty good pinch hitters as well.
They have an outstanding ball club, and they have taken advantage of the extra out in the 2 innings they have scored. All 4 runs have been unearned, and they have used the extra out given to them by the Dodgers. Garvin had 12 saves in his regular season, pitched in 50 ball games, and he came from the Chicago Cubs. He'll be working to Jerry Martin, a right-hand batter. Now the Phillies have the luxury of switching to Jay Johnstone, a good left-hand hitter, but Danny Ozark with a 4-0 lead is thinking about later on, and he is not making that change. He had a stretch. Mike Garvin had a stretch from June 15th to July 30th where he gave up only 1 earned run in 18 1/3 innings. So the right-hander Mike Garvin coming in to pitch to Jerry Martin. Martin has struck out and grounded out in his 2 appearances. Phillies 4 runs unearned on 4 hits. The Dodgers no runs on 3. Tommy John getting credit for 4 2/3 innings. Struck out 3 and walked 3, and he also hit a batter. And the first pitch by Garvin is hit foul back to home plate out of play. Martin was an outstanding basketball player at Furman. Led Furman to its first Southern Conference title. He is not that tall a ball player. He is a fine defensive ball player, and he is used mainly as Luzinski's caddy. When they take Greg out in the latter part of the ball game, he usually goes in for the final inning. And the pitch back by Garvin in the dirt, dug out by Yeager. A good play to runner's hole. Luzinski at second base, and Dave Johnson at first. One ball, 1 strike. Crowd here very quiet after the Phillies have taken this lead of 4-0. And here's the pitch back. It's on the outside corner. It's all strike. Tommy John out of the game. Strong candidate for the Cy Young Award, along with John Candelaria and Steve Carlton. Now swing and a miss, and Garvin does his job. He strikes out Jerry Martin to end the inning, but 2 runs in the inning on just 1 base hit. 2 men left on base, and the score at the end of 4.5 innings, the Philadelphia Phillies 4 and the New York should say the L.A. Dodgers nothing. Well, the Dodgers, using the approach of the Phillies of 1976, compiled the best winning percentage in Los Angeles history, winning 22 of their first 26 games. That equaled the marks of the 1955 Dodgers when they played in Brooklyn and the 1946 Boston Red Sox after the first 26 games. Really had a great start. The month of April saw the Dodgers compile their best winning percentage ever in the city of Los Angeles, an .850 record. Dodgers jumped off to a 7.5-game lead, the biggest lead after the first month ever. The lead was extended to 14 games by July 31st. And the closest the Big Red Machine, the two-time world championship Cincinnati Reds, ever got was 8 games back. And with all this, the Dodgers became the first team to draw 2 million fans by their 52nd playing date, which was August 11th, and they set the all-time attendance record of 2,955,087. We're going now to the bottom of the 5th inning. Phillies leading by a score of 4-0, and as we go to the bottom of the 5th, it is indeed my pleasure to once again bring in Jerry Coleman to the microphone. Jerry, an outstanding infielder for the New York Yankees back in some of their greatest days, and now broadcasting for the San Diego Padres. So here for the rest of the ball game, Jerry Coleman.
Okay, Ralph, and it's a 4-0 ball game. The Phillies on top of the Dodgers. Right now, Steve Yeager is coming on to hit with Lee Lacy in the on-deck circle. Lacy will be in there for Mike Garman. So Garman has done his thing. He struck out a man in a key spot and will leave the ball game. And we'll have another pitcher coming on against the Phillies in the 6th inning. Steve Carlton, a giant left-hander who has been in control. He's had a couple of innings where 2 men have been on in the 2nd. First 2 batters got back-to-back singles, but he stopped them. Had a little trouble in the 4th, but no real trouble. The first pitch to Yeager is a one-hop into the third baseman. Schmidt over to first base, and Yeager's touchdown. So Steve Yeager's out of there, 5-3. 1 up, 1 down in the 5th, and that'll bring on Lee Lacy. Lacy started out his career with the Los Angeles Dodgers, was traded on to the Atlanta Braves, and traded back here to the Dodgers. So Lacy has been a jack-of-all trades. He's done a good job with the bat. He's hitting a .266 so far this year. Had no home runs and 6 RBI. Right-hand batter coming on for Mike Garman. So the Dodgers are deep into their bullpen now, and we'll see how it stands when the game is over. The first pitch fouled back by Lacy, strike 1. Defense has Schmidt at third, Boa the shortstop, Sizemore at second, Johnson at first base with Tim McCarver, the veteran catcher behind the plate. Outfield dead straight away, Luzinski in left, McBride in center, Martin in right field. And Carlton, the 6'4" left-hander, fires low and inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The 1-1 pitch by Carlton. Lacy hits it up the middle, base hit. So Lee Lacy, a pitch single up the middle, gives the Dodgers a start. The 4th hit off Steve Carlton with Dave Lope stepping in. That line score is rather unusual. Phillies 4 runs, 4 hits. The Dodgers no runs and 4 hits, and all 4 Phillies runs have been unearned. A couple of errors by shortstop Bill Russell have been the catalyst for Philadelphia. Lacy at first. Dodgers trailing in the ball game 4-0. 1 away. Here's Davey Lopes, who lined to left field and fouled to first. Infield tight, double play depth. Slow curveball, low and inside, ball 1. Lopes, who had his best year ever average-wise, as .285 hitter. Waiting for the next one, chokes up about an inch, but the throw goes to first, and there's a balk ball. A balk ball to Steve Carlton.
Carlton picked off Davey Lopes in the ball game 2 times earlier this year, and there's been a lot of debate about whether or not he balks or does throw the correct way.
All right, here's the next one on the way to Lopes. Line drive, right center field. Lacy racing for the plate. The throw by McBride is cut off by Johnson, and Lopes is into second. So there was quite a meeting at second base. Wendelstedt, Dave Lopes, and the shortstop all converging out there. And Lopes beats the throw into second, a big play. The Dodgers get on the board. It's a 4-1 ball game. Now
Bill Russell stepping in. Bill, fly to center, bounce to short. Dodgers starting to fight back here in the 5th inning. A chopper to the shortstop, Larry Boa. He'll make the play to first with Lopes sailing over to third. So Lopes over to third as Russell bounces out 6-3. 2 gone, and now Reggie Smith stepping in. Smith had a composite .307 batting average, but a much better hitter left-handed at .316 than right-handed, where he's standing in there now, .282. Hard slider, low and inside, ball 1. Single to center and a balk. Outfield spread out a little and fairly deep. The infield way back. Schmidt at third, about as deep as you'll ever see a third baseman. Curveball swung on a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike, and there might have been a backswing on that nailed McCarver. McCarver got out of there, and I think stumbled out of there. Smith, with a big swing, came back, and on the backswing may have nailed McCarver, but nothing serious. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down. Lopes to third. 4-1. Phillies leading. Ground ball sharply hit to the shortstop, Boa. Tough grass cutter, and he's got him at first base. Man, I'll tell you, that ball had error written all over it, and Boa managed to handle it. 1 run, a couple of base hits, and a man left. And after 5 innings of play, Phillies 4, Dodgers 1.
Muhammad Ali will defend his heavyweight title early in February against the winner of the Leon Spinks Elfio Righetti bout. This is announced by Bob Arum, the president of Top Rank Incorporated. Arum said he has signed contracts with Ali and his manager Herbert Muhammad, plus Spinks and Righetti, calling for the champion to receive $3.5 million. The challenger between $200,000 and $300,000. Tehran, the capital of Iran, is the leading site, he says. Other potential sites are New York's Madison Square Garden and the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas. Arum added negotiations are now underway with all 3 networks for home telecast of the bout. Arum said he expects to announce an exact date and location for the bout by early next week. The fight between Spinks, the Olympic light heavyweight champion from St. Louis, and Righetti, the unbeaten 26-0 Italian heavyweight, will take place in November. The bout, also promoted by Top Rank, probably will be held in Las Vegas.
New pitcher in the ball game, and this time of year, you often hear baseball fans saying, wait till next year. And while your favorite team is planning for 1978, you should too by ordering season tickets. Now is the time when the best locations are available for your family or business. So if you missed any of baseball's excitement this past season, act now and ensure choice seats for all of the fun of 1978. You'll find yourself saying, I just can't wait till next year. The proceeding has been brought to you on behalf of Major League Baseball. Well, a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and Jerry Coleman as a player. And also when I played, knuckleball pitchers are enough to drive you crazy. And Charlie Huff is the new pitcher and knuckleballer. He's the kind of a guy, you know what's coming, Ralph. There's no question about it. It'll be the knuckleball, except in rare cases, and still you can't hit it. But Charlie Huff, in the first half of this season, had 18 saves, and in the second half, only 4. So he really was a diminished member of that bullpen in the last half of the season. Overall, Huff ended the season 6-12, earned an average of 3.33, and he appeared in 70 ball games. So Charlie Huff, who was the lifesaver of the Dodgers in the first half, did not have that second half to live up to the first. So he's had a little battle. Right now, he'll be going up against Tim McCarver, Ted Sizemore, and Steve Carlton. I love the story that Tom Lasorda, the manager, tells about Charlie Huff when he had him in the minor leagues. He said you got a double-A fastball, a double-A curve, and in a foot race with a pregnant woman, you finished third, so you better come up with another pitch. And he did. And he just drove his catcher crazy, Steve Yeager. All right, Tim McCarver struck out and walked. 4-1, Phillies leading. We're in the 6th inning. And the knuckleball sails high for ball 1. The outfield swung out to the right. Infield way over there. The 1-0 pitch. McCarver took a fastball in there for a strike. 1-1.
Ron Cey, the third baseman, is 20 to 25 feet off the line and even with the bag. Russell shading well over towards shortstop near second base. And a chopper in the hole to Bill. It's going to be tough. He can't handle it into left field. And let's see how they rule that one. A high hopper. Russell just ran by it. Tried to steer it and couldn't handle it. It goes for a base hit.
I would have to score that a base hit. That was one of the most difficult plays in the game at short, as you well know. And although it's been a tough night for Bill Russell, and the fans will continue to believe that was an error, it was too tough a chance.
It's do or die. He took a swipe at it and missed, and that's about all you can do. Here's Ted Sizemore stepping in. Sizemore bounced to short and to third. Runner at first base, nobody out. 4-1 Philadelphia, sixth inning. Double play combination of Lopes and Russell inside as the bunt goes on the third base side. Huff there hands it, makes the play to first. Sizemore is an easy out, but McCarver moves into scoring position. So the sacrifice is good. The play, if you're keeping book with us, 1-4. Now here's Steve Carlton stepping in. Carlton had a bloop single in the third inning and then was hit by a pitch in the fifth. If you missed the start of the ball game, Tommy John went the first 4 2/3, gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, all of the runs unearned, struck out 3 and he walked 3. Garvey for a third of an inning struck out a man, and now Charlie Huff in the sixth. The first pitch to Carlton, swung on a miss, strike 1. Carlton, as we mentioned, an excellent hitting pitcher. From the left side, Carlton waits and Huff delivers. It's fouled back, strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes. Outfield, just about straight away. It's the first in the best 3 of 5. The National League playoffs. The 2-strike pitch. A line drive over the head of Dave Lopes. It drops for a base hit. Racing for the plate is McCarver. The throw is wide and over the head of the catcher. McCarver's in to score. It's a 5-1 ball game. And Reggie Smith showed his arm, but he showed it so well that Charlie Huff, 35 to 40 feet behind the plate, was the man that picked it off. Holding at first base and not attempting to go further was Steve Carlton. So Ralph Kiner, it looks as though the Dodgers simply can't gain ground on the Phillies. They're making that key mistake here and there.
Not their ball game tonight, and they've always said that the best way to handle a knuckleball pitcher is to put 9 pitchers in against him, and Steve Carlton just proved that with a base hit to right field.
So RBI single by Carlton. He's 2 for 2, helping his own cause. Now we go to the top of the batting order. Bake McBride, who has singled, fly to right field, and in an attempt at bunt to sacrifice, had a runner forward to second base. So Bake McBride stepping in there. He's playing for Gary Maddox tonight, who's got a bad knee. The knuckler outside to McBride, ball 1. Dodger infield, very close, double play depth. Carlton is not their problem. The man at the plate, if they're going for 2, is the big problem. McBride can go down that line with anybody. High pop-up. Ron Cey, foul territory. Calling for it is under it, and he's got it for the second out. So in the 6th inning, there are 2 gone for the Phillies. 1 run in at first base, Steve Carlton. Developing on the shortstop, Larry Boa. Larry Boa wrapped into a double play in the first inning, and the Dodgers, believe me, turned that one. That was a Russell to Lopes, back to Garvey. Then Boa bounced to third in the 3rd inning and was safe on that key error by the shortstop Russell in the 5th inning. It led to 2 runs a little later. The first pitch to Boa, ball 1. Tony Taylor, a veteran of many years, in the major leagues with the Phillies, coaching at first. Billy DeMars at third. And the pitch on the way to Boa popped up. Calling for this one is Garvey, and Huff over there to help him out, and Steve has it. And that takes care of the Phillies in the 6th inning. 1 run, a couple of base hits, and a man left. After 5.5, Philadelphia, 5 runs, 6 hits. The Dodgers, 1 run, 5 hits.
Southpaws Don Gullett and Paul Spitoff, both of whom seem to thrive in pressure cookers, warmed their pots up on the firing line for Wednesday's pivotal first game of the American League Championship Series between the Yankees and Royals. Gullett, who has done very well in baseball games this year. He played very well in the National League with the Cincinnati Reds. Surhoff is 16-6 this year. He's 2-0 against the Yankees, and was very enthusiastic about pitching in that first game on Wednesday.
.191 home runs to lead the National League, and they have not been able to use that weapon here tonight. And the Dodgers became the first team in Major League history to have 4 players at 30 or more home runs. Garvey led the group with 33. Reggie Smith, voted the most valuable Dodger, had 32. Ron Cey had 30, and on his last time at bat on the final day of the season, Dusty Baker got his 30th. The defeat has caused the Dodger Al Campanis, the architect of this ball club, to say this was the greatest psychological lift. Notre Dame was ever more fired up, even for the Gipper. Well, the Dodgers have to get fired up because they are trailing now by 4. It's the Philadelphia Phillies 5 and the Dodgers 1 as we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Steve Carlton has been very strong here tonight in the clutches, but that's something he has been known to do. He won 27 ball games one time in his career, and he also has been a 20-game winner 3 other times. The veteran Steve Carlton still with a good fastball, a good slider, and here tonight he's had good command of his pitches. Now as we go to the bottom of the 6th, once again, Jerry Coleman.
Ralph, you mentioned Carlton's 19th strikeout. Seaver and Nolan Ryan have matched that, but when you think about a feat of striking out 19 of 27 outs, it's impossible.
And lose.
And lose is really impossible. Man, that's something. All right, here's Ron Cey. He singled and he struck out, leading off the 6th. The Dodgers trailing 5-1. First pitch, hit to the third baseman Schmidt, and Cey is cut down 5-3. So Steve Carlton gets a break there. 1 pitch, 1 out, and that'll bring on the number 5 hitter, Steve Garvey, who's gone 2 for 2 tonight. Phillies 5 runs, 6 hits. Dodgers 1 run, 5 hits. Garvey singled in the 2nd inning behind a single by Cey. Then he singled with 2 out in the 4th inning. Garvey out of Michigan State University. Had no position till they found first base for him. It's still a remarkable story. Bunts one high and foul, coming back out of play. Steve Garvey, as you know, was suggested to by his manager, Tommy Lasorda, that they would like to see more power. Well, he didn't do a bad job when you think about it. Led the club in home runs with 33. The 1-strike pitch fouled away by Garvey, and that is more than any other Dodger player, Los Angeles Dodger player. Now, let's not go back to Brooklyn, but more than any other Dodger player has hit here on the West Coast. Garvey, on top of that, batted .297 with 192 base hits. So, by those 33 home runs and the 115 RBIs, he did what he had to do and still kept everything else up there. There's a foul away by Steve. No ball, 2 strikes. Garvey, to this point, had just, I believe, 21 was his top home run mark before this year. Outfield played him a little bit straight away, and a pitch on the way to Steve in the dirt. Carlton missed it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the board has 1 ball, 2 strikes, so we'll go with the board right now. 1 away. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Phillies 5, Dodgers 1. And the pitch on the way to Steve is inside. Now we'll go to 2-2. Schmidt, very deep at third. Probably plays as deep at third base as anybody in baseball. The 2-2 delivery to Garvey. Ground ball in the hole at short. Bo is going to have a long toss. Can he make it in time? He got it. A nice play by Larry Boa, and it wasn't so much the strength of the throw, but the way he got rid of it. So the play goes 6-3, 2 down in the 6th inning as Dusty Baker comes on. Dusty Baker finished strong in September with 7 home runs, 18 RBIs, and 11 ball games. He had some string there in that final month. And as Ralph told you, went into that 30 mark on the last day of the season. And that brought him up with the rest of the big boomers. There's a ground ball knocked down by Smith. Throws from a falling position. Not in time. And Smith made that. It would have been a miracle play.
You know, Jerry, you can't believe how he could throw the ball that well sitting on his derriere, and he made it perfectly and almost got it there in time.
A slower man is out. We've got a couple of left fielders here who were saved by knee operations. Dusty Baker had a terrible year for the Dodgers last season. He was traded from Atlanta, had his knee operated on in the off year, and it turned his career around. Same for Greg Luzinski, who had a knee operation earlier. All right, stepping in right now, Glenn Burke, and the first pitch foul back for a strike. Wasn't too many years ago, an operation on the arm, the knee, the elbow, or whatever, and that about ended it. But now they have got it to such a science and degree that anything can happen. Burke takes low, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1-1. Last half of the 6th inning, Phillies leading the Dodgers 5-1. Baker at first. Burke's the hitter. A throw to first base. Carlton already balked the man to second, who later scored on a single by Lope. Here's the 1-1 pitch. And Burke fouls it away. Glenn Burke, who is very fast, came up in midseason. When Monday, who had back spasms in his back that lasted almost the final 3.5 months of the season. Burke played a lot of baseball. Monday not playing tonight because of that ailing back, and possibly the fact that Carlton, a left-hander, is on the mound. Fastball is outside to Burke, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Glenn Burke waiting now. Baker drifting off at first. The 2-2 delivery on the way. Ground ball in the hole. Grab by Smith. What a play, and they make the force at second. Mike Smith came from nowhere, knifing in front of the shortstop, forcing Baker at second base. So the defense for the Phillies really comes to life. No run, the base hit, 1 left after 6th inning. Phillies 5, Dodgers 1.
Unbeaten Texas on the heels of a 72-15 triumph over Rice last Saturday continues to dominate the NCAA Division I team statistics this week, with first-place standings in rushing, scoring, rushing defense, and scoring defense. The Longhorns have now outscored their opponents 184-15 in 3 games, averaging 61.3 points per game against an average of just 5. Texas, with its multiple set offense, is averaging 392.3 yards per game on the ground, while yielding an average rush of just 38.3 yards per game. But 4th-ranked Texas will be hard-pressed to maintain its incredible offensive and defensive pace when it plays 3rd-ranked Oklahoma Saturday in Dallas. Grambling, meanwhile, has displaced Brigham Young in 2 offensive categories, taking over the total offense lead with a 536-yard average and passing offense with a 374-yard average. Louisiana Tech is this week's total defense leader with an average yield of 152.7 yards per game. That's 3 yards less than what Texas allowed, while Southern University is tops in pass defense by allowing just 14 completions in 4 games for an average yield of 49.5 yards per game. Tennessee is the net punting leader with a 45.2-yard average. Grambling leads in punt returns with a 26.2 average, and Minnesota is number 1 in kickoff returns with a 36-yard average.
In the 7th inning, the bottom third of the ball game coming your way here from Dodger Stadium, and the Phillies are sitting on top 5-1. Mike Schmidt, Greg Luzinski, Dave Johnson, the heart of the power of the Phillies, stepping in there against Charlie Huff. Tommy John started it. He's on the hook. Mike Garman for a third of an inning, and now Charlie Huff, who gave up a run on the 6th, is stepping in for the 2nd inning out there as Schmidt takes outside for a ball. Mike, safe on an error, scored ahead of Luzinski's homer in the 1st, struck out, and he bounced to 3rd. Right-hand batter, big power. Right in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Schmidt is reportedly to be the highest paid baseball player of them all at about $500,000 a year. He won't say yes and he won't say no. The 1-1 pitch coming up to Schmidt. The knuckleball swung on a miss. A ball and 2 strikes. Schmidt, another big year, 38 home runs, 101 RBIs, walked 104 times, and scored over 100 runs. He did it all, and one of the finest defensive third basemen in baseball. The 1-2 pitch coming on, and it's low and outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rarely will you get a man with that kind of hitting talent that can play his position with any of them. The 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Dropped by the catcher. Yeager's up with it. Has to make the play to first and does in time. So Schmidt strikes out. Give an assist to Yeager as the play goes 2-3. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Now here's Greg Luzinski, who homered and walked twice. 1 for 1 on this game and takes a strike in the middle. After the error by the shortstop Bill Russell in the first inning, Luzinski hit one over that center field wall off of Tommy John. The knuckleball dances in there. Strike 2, and Luzinski having a chat with the plate umpire Paul Pryor. The first time we've seen any discussion with the plate umpire this evening. Here's the 2-strike pitch. The knuckleball swung and fouled away, and Yeager got that in the arm.
Luzinski, if he ever got mad, could catch that knuckleball and just take a bite out of it.
He may have someday. Schmidt and Luzinski combined for more home runs, 77, than any other 2 Phillies. The old mark was 75 in 1929 by Chuck Klein and Lefty O'Doul, but it's far short of the Roger Maris Mickey Mantle mark of 61 and 54 back in 61.
You played against those fellows, didn't you?
With them. A swing and a miss by Luzinski. Strike 3. 2 up, 2 down, 7th inning as Dave Johnson steps in. 1961, a year when Mantle and Maris went down to the wire, both of them into the 50s, and suddenly Mantle got ill. He came up with the virus and faded, and Maris went on to break the record. And if anybody wants to say anything about Roger Maris, he just broke the wrong record. Any other record would have been all right. That was the wrong one. Here's Dave Johnson stepping in there. He's 1 for 3, and he takes strike 1. The 1-strike pitch coming on. Strike 2. 5-1. Phillies leading. We're in the 7th inning. We're also getting into the spot on the ball game where the Philly bullpen could be in a position to help out, and they've got a good one. The 2-strike pitch in the dirt. Dances away and kicks off the shin guard. Yeager lets it sail off, and he'll try another ball. A ball and 2 strikes.
Yeager has always said there is no best way to catch a knuckleball. You just try to corral it. Bob Uecker says that you let it roll and pick it up when it stops.
The 1-2 pitch coming on. That's another one gets away from Steve Yeager. Actually, I have, in the latter part of the 77 season, Jerry Grody, whom you know very well, who fought for the Mets for many years, caught Huff several times. Seemed to be better with a glove behind the plate.
Did he? He's got great hands.
The 2-2 pitch. And swung on a miss. Charlie Huff strikes out the side. Dave Johnson goes down swinging. It's a 1-2-3 inning for the Phillies here in the 7th. We go to the last half of the 7th. Philadelphia leading the Dodgers 5-1.
Outfielder Reggie Jackson of the New York Yankees hit by a $2 million lawsuit for allegedly kicking a 13-year-old boy following the All-Star game. That was announced today. According to his attorney, Nicholas Arena, as a result of the occurrence, Chris Howe requires psychiatric treatment and has suffered permanent injury. The incident allegedly occurred in the parking lot outside Yankee Stadium. Arena, who said that Jackson would be served with court favors in the next 24 hours, said that the psychiatrist, as well as the attending physician, has indicated physical injury involving laceration of the boy's wrist, and he's well now, though, on his way to a recovery. As to other damages, they seem to be permanent. Asked if other damages referred to mental problems, the attorney said yes. Of course, Jackson and the Yankees open the American League playoff series against Kansas City at Yankee Stadium on Wednesday. We have a story on the National Football League of the Patriots concerning John Hanna and Leon Gray, and we'll chat about that next break we get.
We're going now to The bottom of the 7th inning, the Phillies leading by a score of 5-1. They got 2 runs in the first inning on a 2-run home run by Greg Luzinski after an error had prolonged the inning. Then they got 2 more earned runs in the 5th inning. Leadoff batter Steve Carlton was hit by a pitch ball. That brought up Peg McBride, who grounded into a force play. And then Larry Boyle hit a ground ball to the left side of the second baseman, Davey Lopes. Lopes made a great play to get it. Fired it to the shortstop covering the second, and Bill Russell was not in the bag, and all hands were safe. After another following force play by Mike Schmidt, a walk to Greg Luzinski loaded up the bases, and a single to center field by Johnson made it a 4-0 ball game. Now here's the bottom of the 7th, and Jerry Coleman.
Okay, Steve Yeager coming on. He'll be followed by a pinch hitter for Charlie Huff, and then back to the top of the order. And the Dodgers are down 5-1 and in trouble against Steve Carlton. The first pitch, low and inside to Yeager, ball 1. Preston Gomez coaching at third for Los Angeles. Jim Gilliam over at first base for the Dodgers. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Low and outside. Yeager now runs the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Yeager met Dave Parker about a month and a half ago at home plate and was out for 2 weeks, but he has recovered completely. The 2-0 pitch on the way to Yeager is good for a strike. Unlike the Steve Rose, Ray Fosse all-star collision, Fosse really never recovered well from that. Parker at 6'5", 230 got Yeager the same way, and Steve managed to come out of it. But he was sore for some time. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swung on a miss. Carlton just zipped it by him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Still nobody in the on-deck circle. Second baseman Sizemore is back on the lip of the outfield grass. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Yeager, and he struck him out. Just zipped the fastball by him the second time around. So Carlton has not really had a strikeout pitch going for him. It's only the 3rd of the night, but he'll get it in spots when he needs it. Now Jerry Grody is coming on to hit for Charlie Huff. And speaking of Ralph Kiner's old buddy from the New York Mets, he almost retired this spring, I understand.
He did retire. He said he was all through playing baseball. He's had a lot of back trouble, but then the Mets got him to come back. He played, when he did play very well for the Mets and was traded to the Dodgers as a backup for Yeager, and I understand he's done very well here for the Dodgers.
Well, he's got a composite 268 for the year in 60 ball games. So Jerry Grody up there from the right side with 1 away and nobody on. Steve Carlton, who's finished 16 to make that 17 games so far this year, is a guy who usually does finish when he starts. He's into the 7th inning, leading 5-1. And the first pitch is through at White's by Grody for strike 1. Carlton, in 36 starts, completed 17 games this year. Tall left-hander in complete control tonight. Has had a couple of moments, but not too many. There's another fastball that's right in there, strike 2. And Carlton doing what you'll see many good pitchers do. When a man comes off that bench, they know they're cold, they go right after him. That 2-strike delivery. Fouled away. Did you ever pinch it much, Ralph?
I did my last year, and it's one of the worst jobs I could think of. Never did like to do it.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 away. Grody, veteran catcher, waiting. On deck, Dave Lopes. The pitch coming up by Carlton, high and outside. A ball and 2 strikes, a capacity crowd here at Dodger Stadium. It's the first in the playoff series between the Phillies and the Dodgers, and we'll go again tomorrow night with Lonborg going against Sutton. The 1-2 pitch by Carlton, curve and fouled off. Grody stayed with that nicely. That ball dipped hard. He got his bat on it to stay alive. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 gone. Outfield shading him a little to the right side. They give him left center. Now Grody back, getting a better feel into the batter's box. He's about even with the plate. The 1-2 pitch on the way by Carlton, low. Went for the slider and missed it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 away. Carlton again into the windup. And the 2-2 pitch, a breaking ball low for 3-2. Carlton so far this evening has walked one man. That was Dusty Baker in the fourth inning. An exchange of baseballs. The count is 3-2. Lopes in the on-deck circle. Dodgers trailing 5-1, need something, and they need it in a hurry. All right, Carlton again gets a sign from McCarver. The pitch on the way to Grody. Ground ball sharply third, foul on the left side. That ball outside of the bag, maybe 3 or 4 feet. It is completely dark here at Dodger Stadium and has been the last inning and a half. We started in brilliant sunshine, clear skies, weather close to the 80s. Now cooling off a little. The 3-2 pitch, and he lost a ball 4, low and inside. Second walk given up by Carlton as pinch hitter Jerry Grody trots down to first base, and that's one of those situations where a veteran pitcher rarely lets it get away. He had him, no balls and 2 strikes, and lost him to a walk.
Grody did battle him hard and fouled a couple balls off, and a veteran like Jerry Grody does not panic. He has played in 2 championship series, and the Mets in both of those 2 series with Grody catching won them both.
Dave Lopes, who is 1 for 3, in there right now. Grody at first. And the pitch coming on is a line drive base hit to left field. So Lopes keeps it going. Incidentally, we have a new first baseman. Tommy Hutton has come into play for Dave Johnson. So if you missed that one, put Hutton at first base. Johnson out of the ball game. The Dodgers with runners at first and second. Tommy Hutton kind of slipped in on us now as the Dodgers have runners at first and second. Here's Bill Russell, who has gone 0 for 3 in the first pitch. Outside for a ball, and the Philly bullpen is starting to loosen up. 1 down. Runners at first and second moving on. A 1-0 pitch. Bounce to third. Smith has it. The race for the bag for 1. The throw to first. Not in time. Smith raced for the bag and threw off balance to first base, and Russell beat it out, but Grody is forced to third on an unassisted play by Mike Schmidt. Down to second goes Lopes. At first base, Bill Russell, and here comes Reggie Smith. Gene Garver, a short right-hander, throwing as Lopes heads for third base, and Smith hits one high in the air, but foul on the left field side. Davey Lopes, with 2 outs, was taking off. Russell wasn't with him. Smith had a long, high drive down the left field line for strike 1. That's rather an unusual play in a spot like that, trailing 5-1.
You better make it.
Lopes obviously going on his own. Russell was not running with him. Goes back to second base. A 1-strike count now. And there's an awkward attempt to pick off at second that doesn't go anywhere, and we'll try it again. Here's Carlton's pitch on the way to Smith, and it's high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Steve Carlton missed the plate by 1.5 feet that time. And when those pitchers start to lose that groove and their pattern starts to become upset, the manager starts to look for something. The 1-1 delivery on the way to Smith. It's chopped foul, a good curveball, and he took a little off. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Phillies 5 runs, 6 hits. The Dodgers 1 run and 7 hits. So the Dodgers at the moment have out-hit the Phillies, but the Phillies have the run. 4 unearned runs. The pitch coming up, and this one is inside. McCarver thought he had it. It goes 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bill Russell at first. Davey Lopes at second. 2-2 on Reggie Smith. Ron Cey in the on-deck circle. Here's the 2-2 delivery. Curveball fouled away again. You get the feeling here, the way the Dodgers are getting closer and closer to Carlton, that something could explode if he makes that one key mistake.
Smith waiting from the right side. Runners moving off again. And it's 2-2. One more time. It's a check swing. They're asking for an appeal. They don't get it from the first base umpire. And it goes to 3-2. So Reggie Smith, 0 for 3 in the ball game, has run the count full. The runners will be going. 5-1 Phillies, bottom of the 7th. And there's a play at first base to Tommy Hutt, who's way off the bag. Obviously, in hopes that maybe they might get Lopes going to third. Hutton is standing 30 feet off the bag. All right, here's the 3-2 delivery. The kick, and it's on its way. A chopper on the third base side foul. This is the Dodgers' biggest threat in the ball game. They got a run in the 5th inning. But right now, they've got the men coming up there that can make it work. And now Reggie Smith, with runners at first and second, getting back in with a count of 3 balls and 2 strikes. Ron Cey waiting in the on-deck circle. Smith, 32 home runs this year, holds the bat high. Here it is. It's on the way, and it's ball 4. They're loaded up. Russell at second, Smith at first, and representing the tying run, Ron Cey. Carlton into his windup. Fastball high and over his head, ball 1. Here's Carlton once again, and the 1-0 pitch. Swung on a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike, a fastball at the letter. Gene Garvey, a tantalizing little right-hand pitcher, throwing in the Philly bullpen. Dodgers trying to climb back into the ball game. They're trailing 5-1, bottom of the 7th. Carlton in his only severe jam of the game. Gets the side from McCarver. Here is Carlton's delivery, and it's high. 2 balls and a strike. Again, ready. The 2-1 pitch to Cey, and it's high for 3 balls, 1 strike. So Steve Carlton is digging a hole for himself out there. 3 balls, 1 strike, 2 away. Bases loaded. Here's the pitch. Foul back, 3-2. Ron Cey ended the season 0 for 31, and he singled in the 2nd inning in his first at-bat. Struck out and bounced to 3rd, and now Carlton will come to a set position. Runners moving off, they'll be on the way. Here's the kick and the delivery. Foul back, will do it again. Lopes going back to 3rd, Russell to 2nd, Smith to 1st. Ron Cey batting in that cleanup spot. Right behind him, Steve Garvey, another dangerous hitter. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Carlton ready. He sets. The big left-hander unloads, and Cey went after a curveball. Might have been questionable.
Ball looked like it was blown inside and out of the strike zone, but it was a good curveball in a good spot, and he just couldn't stop his swing. He did foul it off.
The Phillies are holding a 4-run lead, but the Dodgers trying to climb back into the game. They have the bases loaded, 2 outs, 3-2 on the batter, Ron Cey, and Carlton is set again. Here it is. It's on the way to Cey, and he hits it hard left center field. That could tie it up. It's going, going, going.
fourth grand slam home run by Ron Cey has tied it up. Phillies 5 to Dodgers 5. Delirious. So we start new. It's all even. And these Dodger fans just won't quit. Here is Steve Garvey. The pitch by Carlton. Curveball up the middle. Another base hit. The Phillies, sitting on top of a 5-1 lead, have seen that melt. It's all even at 5, and now Garvey is on at first base. And here comes manager Danny Ozark. Incredible drama here. The electricity in this ballpark, unbelievable. And that's all for Steve Carlton, and we'll be looking to the bullpen to see who comes in for him. The little guy, Gene Garber, with a full beard, is coming in. And he'll be taking up the pitching chores for Philadelphia. He'll be going up against Dusty Baker. If you just tuned in, we'll set the stage for you. In the first inning, with 2 out, Mike Schmidt safe on an error, followed by a Greg Luzinski home run, gave the Phillies 2 unearned runs. In the 5th inning, Steve Carlton started it by getting hit by a pitch. He was forced at second base. Then an error by the shortstop. Bill Russell kept things rolling. Greg Luzinski walked. Dave Johnson drilled a single with a bases loaded for 2 more runs. Phillies got another run on the 6th inning on a single by McCarver, a sacrifice by Sizemore, and a single by Carlton. The Dodgers got a run on the 5th to make it 5-1. A single by Lacey. He was to second base and came in on Dave Lope's single. And then the Dodgers here in the 7th inning. Steve Yeager started it by striking out rather. Jerry Grody, pinch hitting for Charlie Huff, drew a walk. Dave Lope singled. Bill Russell forced Grody at third. A walk to Smith, and then a grand slam home run by Ron Cey with the bases loaded. Brought the Dodgers right back into it at 5. That was followed by Steve Garvey's single, and that's all for Steve Carlton. And now, the little guy, Gene Garver, coming on.
Ron Cey had grand slam home runs on April 24th against Atlanta and on May 5th against Tom Seaver of the New York Mets. So Ron Cey was a grand slam home run here in this championship playoff game, getting his 3rd of the year, and it was a dramatic home run that tied up the ball game here in the 7th inning, and the capacity crowd going wild.
Okay, Gene Garver coming in. He is 4-1 with 9 saves this year. Going up against Dusty Baker, and the Dodger crowd is delirious. It's all even at 5. We're in the last half of the 7th inning. 5-5 tie. Garvey at first base belongs to Carlton, so if he should score, then a run will be charged to Carlton. The pitch on the way to Baker is right in there for a strike. The grand slam home run by Ron Cey was the first in National League Championship Series history. And it was hit. A low, streaming line drive over that 370 mark in left center field.
5 runs, 6 hits. Dodgers 5 runs, 9 hits. Dusty Baker, 1 for 2 in the ball game. Last time up, had an infield hit to third. A throw to first, and Garvey gets back. Garber's ready. Little right-hander kick. There goes Garvey. The throw to second base is not in time. And Garvey steals it. So Steve Garvey steals up the race. He represents a tie-breaking run at second base. A 1-1 count on Dusty Baker. And suddenly the Dodgers, who appeared to be dead and buried, are back alive and kicking. The 1-1 pitch. Swung on a miss by Baker. A ball and 2 strikes. Garvey, during the season, stole 9 bases, so he picked one up right here in the playoffs, and it's a big one. 2 out. A 1-2 count on Baker. Garber's next pitch, low curveball, he struck him out. So Gene Garber ends it all by striking out Dusty Baker, but the Dodgers pick up 4 runs. On 3 base hits and a man left. We go to the 8th inning. Phillies 5, the Dodgers 5.
In 1976, when the Phillies won the National League Championship in the Eastern Division, they came out of the gate like Seattle's flu in a 6-4-long race. They had a 15.5-game lead in late August 24th to be exact, then saw that lead dwindle to 3 games over the Pittsburgh Pirates on September 17th. But then they recovered the win by 9. This year, the Phillies started like 2 people in the gunny sack race. Carlton lost the home opener. They won just 1 of their first 7, and by the end of the month of April, they had a record of 7-9, and were dead last. It wasn't until a month into the season that they reached the 500 level for the first time. It was on May 10th when Carlton won his 4th game on his way to a second consecutive 20-game season. Phillies won 12 of the next 15, but lost 4 in a row, and by the end of the month of May, Phillies were 4th, 3 games back. But they went on to win it by 5, and the Phillies now tied up here in Los Angeles. So we're going to the top of the 8th inning. The Phillies 5 runs on 6 hits. The Dodgers 5 runs on 9. And back for the play-by-play, Jerry Coleman.
Elias Sosa, right-hander, who has been the most effective of all the Dodger bullpen pitchers, is coming on right now. When the Dodgers clinched the title at San Francisco on September the 20th, Sosa slipped on the wet floor and sprained his wrist and was out a week, but he apparently is okay now. His last 44 appearances, covering 63 and 2/3 innings, his earned run average is a sparkling 1.97. He did not allow an earned run in his last 9 appearances. So Jay Johnstone is coming in now to bat for Jerry Martin as manager Danny Ozark is starting to go to that celebrated bench of his. Elias Sosa, the 4th Dodger pitcher. This is turning into a real street fight out there. We're in the 8th inning, all even at 5. Johnstone waiting, and Sosa delivers. High for ball 1. Jay Johnstone and Jerry Martin generally share right field, depending on what kind of a pitcher's out there. Johnstone waits for the next one and hits it high in the air. Foul territory, stay, maybe, over by the Dodger dugout, and can't quite get it. That landed on top of the dugout, and Say tried to leap after it and couldn't reach it. Johnstone this year batted at .284, 15 home runs and 59 RBI. He belonged to the California Angels many years ago and then drifted around to the White Sox and finally found his niche in life for the Phillies. Had a big year last season. Jay Johnstone. From the left side, has a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Here's Sosa's delivery, and it's hit into center field. Not very deep. Going back is Russell, moving back a little more, and the shortstop grabs it. So Johnstone is out on a short pop into center field. One away in the 8th inning, and that'll bring out Tim McCarver. McCarver struck out, he walked, he singled, and he scored the 5th Philadelphia run. And as it stands right now, a mighty big run. Dodgers 5, the Padres 5. The Phillies 5. 5-5 tie. McCarver waiting from the left side and swings and misses at a fastball for a strike. Sosa looks like his fastball is riding. All right, Johnstone, McCarver waits and he checks inside. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1-1 to count. Tim McCarver. Veteran left-hand hitting catcher waiting. Elias Sosa. Gets the sign from Yeager and the delivery. A hard shot grabbed by Garvey. Garvey pulled it down. It was headed for right field, and Steve comes up with a good one. So McCarver robbed of a base hit. And now Ted Sizemore is the batter. Sizemore bounced to short, to third, and laid down a sacrifice bunt. Top of the 8th inning. Philadelphia 5 runs, 6 hits. Dodgers 5 runs, 9 hits. Outfield plays Sizemore to the right side, give him left center, all of left center. They're asked for an appeal on a check swing, and the first base umpire, Bob Engel, says he did not go around. Ball 1 the count. 2 down, nobody on. Top of the 8th. Here's Sosa's delivery, and it's high. 2 balls, no strikes. Sosa now waiting. Tall right-hander from the Dominican Republic fires away, and this one is hit into center field. Routine play for Glenn Burke. Burke drifting in casually and takes it for the bird out. For Philadelphia in the 8th, 3 up and 3 down. After 7.5, Philadelphia 5, Los Angeles 5.
John Hanna and Leon Gray have returned to the New England Patriots camp today. The 2 All-Pro linemen who walked out before the start of the season. They will remain with the club for the rest of the year and resume contract talks after the final game. The return marks a major victory for club owner Bill Sullivan, who felt he would be letting all National Football League owners down if he gave in to demands of the 2 players. Coach Chuck Fairbanks welcomed the players' return, said the Patriots will negotiate their contracts in good faith at the end of the season.
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies this year had to come from way back to win the championship. The month of July saw the Phillies make their move, helped considerably by the slumping Cubs who had lost the services of their 8th relief pitcher, Bruce Sutter. The Phillies began July by completing a 4-game sweep of the Pirates, and at the end of July, the Phillies had pulled just 1.5 games back of the Cubs. Their record for July was 19-10. Phillies took over the lead for the first time of the year with an 8-3 win over the Dodgers on August the 4th. So that's the way the Phillies got going, and they ended up back in the pack in April, May, and then in July started to make their move. And right now we're going to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Phillies tied now with the Dodgers 5-5. The Dodgers coming up. And once again, here's Jerry Coleman.
Okay, several changes, some defensive changes. Bob Boone has moved in to do the catching for Philadelphia. Jay Johnstone stays in right field. Tommy Hutton at first base, Ted Sizemore at second, Larry Boa at shortstop, Mike Schmidt at third. On the mound, Gene Garber. And now Rick Mundy is coming on to hit for the Dodgers, replacing Glenn Burke. Mundy, a left-hand batter, hit .230 in the regular season, 15 homers, 48 RBIs. He had back spasms almost throughout the entire year. Here's Garber's first pitch to Mundy, a sinker low and outside for ball 1. We're in the last half of the 8th inning. Phillies 5, the Dodgers 5. Dodgers tied it up on Ron Cey's grand slam home run on the bottom of the seventh. Mundy waits. Garver fires, and a swing and a miss. Strike one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mundy's average dipped badly after he hurt that back, and that was back on May the 31st. Curveball outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2-1. Mundy on May the 31st was batting at .272, and as we mentioned, he finished the season at .230 after hurting that back. There's a swing and a miss by Rick for strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Mundy, the first ball player ever drafted by the then Kansas City A's when the new draft system came into effect back in 1965. The 2-2 delivery moving in. Strike 3, got him with a fastball right at the knee. So Mundy walks away, called out on strike. Garver has pitched to 2 men. He struck out Baker at the end of the 7th and gets Mundy open up in the 8th. Now here's Steve Yeager stepping in. Yeager popped to second, bounced to third, and he struck out. 0 for 3, right-hand hitter. One down, nobody on, 5-5 tie, last half of the 8th. Garver's delivery is a hard slider outside for a ball. Garver's only about 5'10", 155 or 60 pounds. Turns his back on the hitter, then throws that slow curveball. It's a one-hopper right back to him. The underhand toss goes over to Hutton, and that's all for Yeager. Play goes 1-3. Now Elias Sosa coming on to bat for himself. The Dodgers, who have used 4 pitchers in the ballgame, Tommy John, Mike Garman, Charlie Huff, and now Elias Sosa. And the pitchers of record right now are Sosa at the plate and Garver on the mound. Sosa, as a hitter, is 1 for 4 this year. Right-hander waiting. 2 down, nobody on. And the pitch, a hard ground ball to second. One hopper, Sizemore has it. Over to Hutton, and Sosa's cut down. That play goes 4-3. Oh, a very quick inning for Gene Garver. 3 up and 3 down. We go to the 9th. Phillies 5 and the Dodgers 5.
The NCAA has placed the University of Houston and Portland State University on a 1-year probation in football. Both teams are barred from participating in postseason games and appearing in televised games. The NCAA Committee on Infractions has found violations by Houston in recruiting inducements, excessive recruiting contacts, and improper transportation. The Portland school was put on probation for allowing 2 ineligible players to compete. The committee statement said the Houston violation resulted in what it called a distinct competitive advantage in recruitment of a young man considered by many observers to be one of the top football prospects in the country. The university's most promising recruit this year was considered to be Darrell Shepard, a quarterback from Odessa, Texas High School. Shepard had publicly said he would sign with the University of Texas, but changed his mind just before the Southwest Conference signing date. The NCAA statement said the university would publicly reprimand head football coach Bill Yeoman as well as one of his assistants.
Fans enjoy the drama of the World Series by getting your official copy of the 1977 World Series program, the same one that's sold at the ballpark. This 80-page program is a sure collector's item with color features on the divisional winners plus stories on past World Series. Look for the program on selected newsstands, or you can order your copy now by sending a check or money order for $2.50 to World Series Program, Post Office Box 666, San Francisco, California, 94101. The proceeding has been brought to you on behalf of Major League Baseball.
We go to the top of the 9th inning, and Richie Hebner, formerly with the Pittsburgh Pirates, who played out his option, signed on with the Phillies, coming on to take his swipe at Elias Sosa.
Ebner, left-hand batter, waiting for the first one, and it's good for a strike. Over the year, Ebner batter at 285 with 18 homers and 62 RBIs. Tug McGraw throwing in the Philly bullpen. Rick Rhoden doing some work in the Dodger bullpen. Ebner swings and misses, strike two, and Sosa has been on the money since coming on the 8th inning. He retired the side in order in the 8th. He's after Hebner now, no balls and 2 strikes, and it is the top of the 9th inning, a 5-5 tie. Hebner waits. The 2-strike pitch, high and in, way up there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The outfield is spread out. Smith on the line and right, Baker on the line and left, and Monday shading a little into left center. Infielder Steve Garvey, the first baseman, near the line. Cey the same at third. Everybody protecting against that extra base hit. Hebner, a ball and 2 strikes waits, and here's Sosa's next delivery. The high kick and the check swing that goes into the Dodger dugout. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sosa, very calm. Juan Marichal is hero as he grew up as a youngster in the Dominican Republic. There's a high pop-up way up there. Coming after it is Garvey, almost to the plate, and Steve is under it and makes the play. Steve Garvey came to within 20 feet of home plate to get that one, but he had the angle on it, and Yeager wisely let him have it. Yeager says, "You got it." So there's 1 away here in the 9th inning for Philadelphia, and that'll bring on the top of the order, Bake McBride. McBride singled, flied to right, bounce to the pitcher on a bunt, and popped up to third. Left-hand hitter. Sosa gets the sign from his catcher, Yeager, and the first pitch on the way, and McBride fouls it away. Strike 1. Phillies at one time led it 4-0, then 4-1, then 5-1, and the grand slam home run by Ron Cey in the bottom of the 7th to even things up at 5 apiece, and that's where we stand here in the 9th inning. The 1-strike pitch moving into McBride is a check swing called for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes. McBride tried to check a swing, couldn't quite keep the bat from rolling around. Third base umpire Bruce Fleming raised the right arm, and it's no balls, 2 strikes, 1 down, nobody on. The right-hander Sosa ready again, and the pitch almost hit him way inside, a slider that kept coming at him. 1 ball and 2 strikes. McGraw continues to throw in the bullpen for the Philadelphia Phillies. Here's the 1-2 pitch coming up, and McBride chopped it to the right side, base hit. So the Phillies get one of the fastest men in the league on at first base with 1 away. McBride with that single puts the potential winning run at first base with 1 away, and Bake McBride with 36 stolen bases this year led the Phillies in that department. He was cut down only 7 times. Now Larry Boa, the batter. Boa's hit into a double play, bounced to third, safe on an error, and popped up to first. Infield very shallow. Man, are they in there? Almost looks like they're playing at the plate. Boa waiting. Takes low. Cey was possibly looking for the bunt. He kept creeping in, thinking Boa might try to dump one that way. Ball 1 the count. Outfield way off to the left side. Lope shallow at second. Russell the same at short. Cey way in at third. Garvey holding against McBride at first base. And Yeager ready behind the plate. Sosa kicks and the pitch on the way. A line drive over the head of Lope. McBride goes to second and has to hold on. The ball is hit that hard. On the other hand, Reggie Smith, because of Boa's lack of power, was way in there and had a chance to keep McBride at second. So back-to-back singles for the Phillies. McBride and Boa.
Boa at first base, McBride at second. Here's Mike Schmidt, who's had the collar so far tonight. Schmidt was safe on an error on the first inning, struck out in the third and the seventh, and bounced to third in the fifth. So the Phillies come up with 2 base hits with 1 away off Elias Sosa. Phillies 5 runs, 8 hits. Dodgers 5 runs, 9 hits. And Mike Schmidt now with a chance to turn this game around. Sosa pulling in the back of his cap. Boa, a big lead at first. McBride, not too big at second. Sosa checks, and the pitch on the way to Schmidt. Foul back. A fastball, he got under it. Strike one. When you get the big hitters like Luzinski and Schmidt, you run into one fatal flaw, and that's the strikeout. Schmidt has struck out 122 times this year, and Luzinski 140. Here's the one-strike pitch. Line drive, base hit. That'll get McBride in. Boa is racing to third, and the Phillies take the lead, 6-5 on a clutch single by Mike Schmidt. Successive base hits by McBride, Boa, and Schmidt, and the Phillies are on top again by a run with Greg Luzinski stepping up. Greg Luzinski now with runners at the corners, and the one thing that he wants to stay out of is that double play. Lance Rodson throwing in the bullpen for the Dodgers, a left-hander. And there's a balk. Oh, man, can you imagine that? Oh, how do you like that? Elias Sosa thought he had stepped off the rubber and faked the throw to first. Both umpires at second base, Wendelstedt at first base, Engel yells for the balk, and the Dodgers fall 2 behind. And I'll tell you, Ralph Kiner, in a spot like that, if anything that can break your back, that was it.
Lasorda is arguing that he did break contact with the pitching rubber before making the move to first base. If he did that, it would not be a balk.
Both umpires at second and first, though, called it immediately. So now the Phillies have a 7-5 lead. Schmidt is down at second base. Coming in to score was Larry Boa, and here's Greg Luzinski with a chance to put the Phillies out in front by 3. Luzinski takes low and inside, ball 1. It's been a wild first ball game here in this National League playoff series. The Dodgers and the Phillies currently leading at 7-5 in the top of the 9th. The Dodgers have one more big lick, and they've got all of their top men coming in. There's a foul back by Luzinski. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Dodgers will be sending up Lopes, Russell, and Reggie Smith to open up the bottom of the 9th. Phillies 7 runs, 9 hits. Dodgers 5 runs, 9 hits. All right, Sosa set. Looks at Schmidt at second, and Luzinski swings and misses strike 2. The Dodgers gave away 4 unearned runs. And now here, in the 9th inning, they have balked home a run. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Greg Luzinski, with that 2-run home run the first inning, put the Phillies on the board. The ground ball foul on the third base side. A ball and 2 strikes. Don't forget tomorrow night at 8:07 Eastern Daylight Time, Jim Lonborg will be going for Philadelphia in that second ball game, and he'll be up against Don Sutton.
two excellent right-handers, both veterans, both know how to work. Sosa now a 1-2 count on Luzinski, fires it away, and this one is fouled away. Hit the bat of Luzinski and came back behind the plate. On Friday at Philadelphia, the scheduled pitchers are Larry Christensen, a youngster, and Bert Hooten. So Christensen will be going for the Phillies, Bert Hooten for the Dodgers. That'll be on Friday in Philadelphia. Right now, though, the Dodgers are trailing in this one 7-5, ninth inning. Greg Luzinski waiting, right-hand batter. Sosa's pitch to Luzinski is high, a throw to second base, and back is Schmidt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The way the National League umpires work, they work inside the bag, and Harry Wendelstedt hit the deck as that throw was heading towards second base to make sure he wasn't in the way. Wendelstedt was cozied up in a play at second base with a runner, the offensive runner and the defensive player out there about the 5th inning, and it looked like all 3 of them were on the bag at once. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away. Here's Sosa's delivery. Ground ball hit on the end of the bat to the second baseman. Lopes has it. He makes the play to first, and moving to third is Mike Schmidt. So the play goes 4-3. Schmidt heads to third. He holds on. And now Tommy Hutton, a former Dodger, comes on to bat in the spot that was started by Davey Johnson. Hutton came in defensively. He's a left-hand hitter and an excellent first baseman. He came on defensively for Dave Johnson before the Dodgers tied it up. So he's coming on right now to take his licks against Elias Sosa. Hutton, left-hand hitter. Sosa now waiting for Yeager's sign. Tommy Hutton batted .300 this year in 107 ball games, but mostly in defense. He pulls one hard and foul off on the right side for strike 1. Hutton, in that 107 ball games, was up only 81 times. He had a couple of home runs, 11 RBIs. He primarily came on in the late innings as a defensive player. He's not a big man as first baseman go, and has played some outfield for Philadelphia. Mike Schmidt at third, 7-5. Phillies leading the Dodgers, 9th inning. Hutton hits a one-hopper drop by Garvey. A nice play by Steve Garvey to retire Tommy Hutton. The play is unassisted, and that ends it. But the Phillies pick up 2 runs on 3 base hits. No errors and a man left. As we go to the last half of the 9th inning, the Phillies lead the Dodgers 7-5.
In tennis today in Atlanta, Janet Newberry of La Jolla, California, defeated Jeannie Everett of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That was in a first-round match of women's pro tennis tournament. Score was 6-4, 6-1. Jeannie's sister, top-seeded Chris Everett, is scheduled to play Bridget Kuipers of South Africa tonight. Also slated for night competition of Billie Jean King, Virginia Wade, and Dr. Renee Richards. Montana State fell from its perch as the number 1 team in the NCAA Division II ratings following last weekend's 26-0 setback to Boise State. South Carolina State is now ranked number 1, ahead of New Hampshire, Jacksonville State, Boise State, and Montana State. Wittenberg retained its spot at the head of Division III. Baldwin Wallace, which travels to Wittenberg this weekend, is ranked 2nd. Ithaca is 3rd, followed by 2 Minnesota schools, Concordia and St. John's. Top of the batting order now for the L.A. Dodgers.
Well, a new pitcher in the ball game for the Philadelphia Phillies, Tug McGraw, veteran pitcher of playoff championship, was a star one for the New York Mets back in 1973 when he helped the Mets take over the Cincinnati Reds. So as we go to the bottom of the 9th, we look ahead to the Dodger batting order. It'll be 2 runs that they need, and the leadoff batter will be Davey Lopes. So coming back for the play-by-play, Jerry Coleman. Okay, Ralph, Tug McGraw, 7-3 this year, appearing in his 46th game. He was in 45 regular season games, earned an average of 2.67.
The Phillies early in the year, you heard Ralph tell how they got off to a bad start, had Jim Lonborg, the man who'll start tomorrow night's ball game, on the disabled list, and Tug McGraw also on the disabled list, and no one knew whether they would pitch or for how long. On top of that, Jim Stott, their veteran left-hander, could hardly throw the ball across the infield. And suddenly, both McGraw and Lonborg got well, and Cotton chipped in to help out from time to time, and the Phillies made a cakewalk of it in the National League East. And now Tug McGraw coming on against Dave Lope, Bill Russell, and Reggie Smith. Phillies are leading at 7-5, but don't go away. This is not a pitcher's battle. It's a wild one. Dodgers came back from a 4-run deficit to tie it up on Cey's grand slammer in the 7th. They first pitched to Lope, his ball 1. McGraw with a good through ball, slider, curve, and a fastball. And he can get them all over, and he throws a good changeup. Lope's waiting. McGraw taking a lot of time. And the 1-0 pitch by the Tuggers. Outside, 2-0. Tonight, the attendance, 55,968, the second largest Dodger Stadium crowd in history. It's packed here. The 2-0 pitch, and it's in there for a strike. 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Lopes is 2 for 4 tonight. His last 2 times up, he is single. Here's the 2-1 pitch by McGraw. There's a screwball, hit the third, knocked down by Schmidt, bobbled, and up with it over the first. Mike Schmidt looked like a juggler on that one and came up with a tough grass cutter that'll hit him in 3 spots before he finally held on to it. So that play goes 5-3. 1 down, now Bill Russell moving in. Russell, right-hand batter, is 0 for 4 tonight. Bill's had a tough night on the field, has made a couple of critical errors, and they led to 4 unearned runs. Russell takes strike 1. The pitcher of record right now, Elias Sosa and Gene Garvey. There's a screwball low. 1 ball, 1 strike to Bill Russell. It's the first game of the championship series in the National League between the Dodgers and the Phillies, and the Phillies hold a 7-5 lead with 1 away last of the night. Russell chops one to the shortstop. Up with it is Boa. The long throw, 2 away. So Larry Boa, who gets rid of that ball with any of them, nails Bill Russell. This one goes 6-3. And now the Dodgers are down to their final out. And here comes Reggie Smith. They first pitch to Smith, hit on the ground to second. Sizemore almost sat on it to make sure. And this ball game is over. In the 9th inning, Tug McGraw came on and stopped them cold. 3 up and 3 down for the Dodgers. The final score on this one, Philadelphia, 7 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Los Angeles, 5 runs, 9 hits, and 2 errors. Well, it was an interesting ball game all the way around. The critics had said that the Dodger pitching would be strong enough, but it was not pitching in this ball game, although Steve Carlton did pitch a very strong game up to the 7th inning. Fielding was the important part of the ball game, and also a very important call by second base umpire Harry Wendelstadt. Phillies scored first in the 1st inning. First man up, McBride singled, but he was erased on a double play. And then Mike Schmidt was safe on an error by Bill Russell, the shortstop of the Dodgers. Greg Luzinski followed with a home run over the center field fence, and the Phillies had 2 runs, and they were both unearned. They added 2 more in the 5th inning. The leadoff batter was Steve Carlton. He was hit by a pitch ball, and then Bake McBride grounded the ball down to the second baseman, and the throw to the shortstop covering Bill Russell was a good throw, but the shortstop, Russell, was not on the bag. He returned the throw on to first base, but it was late, and there was a call of safe at second base, and that was the key to the inning. Phillies were on to score 2 more runs on a single by Dave Johnson with 2 men out, and they were leading by a score of 4-0. Dodgers got their first run in the ball game in the bottom of the 5th inning. Lee Lacy, as a pinch hitter, singled to center field. Davey Lopes followed with a single.
after a balk and put Lacey down to second. And on that play, Lopes drove in the first Dodger run. Phillies then get another run to make it a 5-1 ball game in the sixth inning. A high chopper toward the shortstop, Bill Russell, that went through for a base hit. Ed Sizemore sacrificed the runner on down to second base, and then Steve Carlton, batting against Charlie Huff, hit a single to right field, and the Phillies were leading by a score of 5-1. It looked like Carlton was going to have an easy day of it with that big a lead, but in the seventh inning, after striking out Steve Yeager, Jerry Grody worked out a walk on the 3-2 pitch. Dave Lopes singled to left field, and Grody moved on down to second. Bill Russell grounded into a fourth play, and runners were left on the base. But then Reggie Smith walked, and it was a bases-loaded situation. Ron Cey worked the count to 3-2. He had been 0 for 31 prior to this ball game at the end of the season. He fouled off a real tough pitch, a low inside curveball, and then hit a 3-2 fastball into the stands in left field to tie up the ball game at 5-5. But the Phillies were up to it, and they came back and scored 2 in the ninth inning. With one man out, McBride singled to right. Larry Bowe followed with a single to right field to put runners at first and second. Mike Smith singled through the middle, and the run was in. And then a balk call got another run in, and the Phillies won it by a score of 7-5.